Alright, I'm starting recording. So, as I said before, you're at the Chantry House inside of London. It's been about a day and a half. What the hell is it? There's a day and a half till the event that Omar Bahoudan stated, somewhere in the Pacific. But like he said, he didn't see. It looked as though it happened very quickly and dissipates, so he's not sure what it is. I mean, Omar never really has any idea what these events are. He just sees a little tick on a graph, and he tells you about it.
He can kind of tell a relative power, though, right?
He can detect
Or
how much
string.
heavy cross-bridge particles are emitting from the site, and usually that has a correlation with dimensional breaches or something metaphysically happening there, but not always.
Okay. All right.
So what he's getting on the graph is a very high concentration of heavy particles, very cleanly indicating, very cleanly magnifying in the area and then dropping off very rapidly over the course of about 3 seconds.
Okay.
Now, do we know that the United States has any of these flying vessels like the Brits seem to have? The dirigibles, these
They have
floating
they have an
submarine-
equivalent, but to answer your question, no, we don't know. We've never really been involved with the Department of Water like we have with.
For the most part, there have been a couple agents that have asked some questions at Obduro, but the PC's never really followed up with them. You are under an understanding that the 42nd Infantry, the Rainbow Division, does have advanced pieces of hyper technology. It wouldn't be surprising if they had something, because it did seem like they had a little bit of a overlapping technological advantage with MI5. Like there might have been co-op projects at some point in
Yeah.
time.
They're both going in their own directions. But they both kind of have some of the same stuff. So
And you don't know if that was relative to the Great War that happened, where America was working with the Brits.
So how long do we have until that event?
I would say a little bit more than a day and a half. Currently, you guys have rested. You've only been up for a few hours.
we get the equipment from MI5.
Yep.
So.
The equipment was from MI5, yes.
So I will call. Do I have a number for Fitzger? Does he have a place in the island, or
You're not
Just
sure
Australia.
for certain. You know that these attached to the Numismatic Society. Talking to the PCs, you could get the Numismatic Society number, but you'd have to give me a diplomacy or administration to get contact information. However, I suppose you can call them up, and they'll ask you specifically why you're asking for the individual, your relationship, so on and so forth.
My response is, I'm going to tell him to flee so that he survives the coming week. And I'm an acquaintance, and I respect his work greatly.
Why don't you tell him where to
You
flee?
can give me a diplomacy.
All right, guys, your pairings are up.
You might want to tell him where to flee.
Yeah, I'm thinking Boston.
Well,
Get
I'm
out
thinking,
first.
how about give him the address to Bee's estate? I mean, you want him to
Tell
get
them
into a
to
bunker.
flee, and that is the threat.
Yeah. But I'll be waiting there for you. Give him a come hither look.
By 3,
By 3?
I give him B's. I tell him where I want him to go. I want him to go to. Is it B's north of Boston? Isn't she? Northeast?
No, she's not north of Boston. She's in North New York State.
Okay. I'll give him.
It does sound like the reception here, it was the receptionist at the Numismatic Society inside of Norway does seem to be put off a little bit that you're talking about, what is it, trying to tell him to flee somewhere so he survives some sort of horrible event happening. You're not sure if... You're not sure. It seems like you're giving her kind of a strange vibe. Seems like she'll be...
I pause and go. My name is Captain Thomas Winfield from the New York office of the Obduro Group, and I'm trying to get in touch with Mr. Fitzger.
You should tell her that you're going to be in town and you're trying to set up a evening where they can get together and have some dinner. Try that approach. I think you'll get to it quicker.
I'm currently in London on business. Would like to leave a number where he can contact me. If he can't contact me, if he is in Australia, I need him to flee
It's going down the plains.
Eastern Australia for the west as soon as possible.
Yeah, we're all standing there. He's on the phone.
Can I intervene then?
You've heard the conversation.
Potentially, yeah.
To this point.
I can get on. I'm a Metric Society person. Who did you want to get in contact with?
I was actually thinking
really?
that since he's in, hey, he's the only Numeric Society member I've met besides you, and I just didn't even know you were. So
Okay, I'm gonna
You submitted
ask
your
if I can
paper?
get into contact with him because this is official business.
Or you can give me diplomacy.
The chaos mathematician. He's a member too.
By 4.
All right, I'm actually going to pause here really quick to check something. All right, there we go. I just had to double check, make sure it was recording. It was giving me weird feedback. However, what was it you give me a diplomacy roll?
Yeah, by 4.
Okay. For the most part, you can get through. They do seem to take a moment to check your records. The receptionist on the other line does seem to calm down a little bit. She'll give you a new forwarding address. She will tell you that Dr. Pfister is inside of Georgia State, and it lists as he's currently working with the U.S. military. She doesn't know any more than that. So she's not sure when he would be next available.
I'm relaying this to him too.
So should we be concerned about the rest of the society? If there's any in London, they should be rushing to the Chantry.
Well,
If
did
there's
Omar
any
Bahadur-
in Australia, the Western Australia,
to be
Eastern
You had
Australia.
contacted
let us
Jason
know?
Gracali, who is a council member,
to tell other people.
Mhm.
Yeah,
but that was probably about, I want to say, 11 hours ago.
Alright, so it may not have got to him, but I told Jason Gracali to contact all the Numismatic Society about what's going on and to get to safety and stuff, but if you want me to do anything else, let me know, otherwise I'll hang up with this lady.
I think if those things are under, then we're good. So,
Okay, I thank you for attending.
All right.
Okay, my side project is done. Let's go find.
We're in the Chantry still?
You're still technically. I'm assuming you guys will eat some food, do other things of that nature. You can go inside of London. London seems to be operating as per normal, other than some of the few odd elements that you had saw. There is increased military activity. What the hell is it? You've seen those strange objects in the sky that don't appear to be airships, or they don't appear to be dirigibles. And there is increased military activity all across London. But occasionally you kind of see it, and it looks like they're kind of taking roundabout drills. But it does look like they're hovering in the area. It's just there's nobody officially that's put up barricades or made any kind of declaration that you're aware of.
Can we get on the phone to B's place? I'm assuming that's where Jack's at, right?
It'll take some. I think you can send a telegram there.
Can I talk directly to him?
I'm not sure if. I think I may have said that before, so I'll assume it is.
Did you want to send a telegraph to...
There's a slightly different technological
Mr.
curve for this 1920s period, and I'm not sure if I stated whether or not there was a
Ocean phone.
I don't know if there was
Ocean
a
line.
transatlantic
Yep.
phone line or not. There probably.
I'll assume there is.
I don't know.
Some of the technology is a little bit more advanced than normal. That's
Pigeons.
available. Pigeons. You can send it by carrier pigeon across the Atlantic.
They're 200 pounds, so they make it all the time.
Or as in the Game
So
of
yeah,
Thrones.
it'll take some
Reagan's
time,
actually-
Okay.
but ultimately you can get in contact with B's facility.
All right. See if I can track Jack down.
Oh, actually, I would say that no. The operator says that area had been, the phone line had been disconnected, and they're scheduled to turn it back in the next 4 to 5 hours.
Oh, okay.
Apparently, they were having power issues over there, and they had informed various agencies to shut down communications lines and whatever have you off to their area.
Did you
Are they
want...
still within the time frame of their build-up or whatever?
That had already happened, from what you understand. You'd left after that.
Yeah.
But they
They
might have
still
not.
have
They might have not had turned
quarantine or
things.
whatever.
Yeah, they might have not had things turned back on yet. But you do have the telegraph ring, which you could use.
Did you want to contact Gerhard Pfister via use the telegraph?
While they're doing this, can I ask the Chantry, like, if they have anyone there who knows the sigil for gravitational manipulation, and be off trying to search out that person?
Yeah,
Or
theoretically,
people?
they would say that there probably is. They would ask about it in the library, but they tell you that there is an advanced alert kind of going throughout the Chantry right now, so
Everybody's on
That's
fire.
fine.
scheduling
That's what I
something with
figured.
them might be difficult.
Finding such a person, because it's just a sigil, right?
Well, it's a... it is fairly complex. I think it's an average skill, so it's not something you could photocopy and be like, got it. Done. Let me make
I
a rubber
could,
stamp
but
of
you
this.
didn't buy
I
photographic
already know how
memory,
to do it
so...
normally, so
It's a different process, though.
I know.
The end effects are very similar, but it'll take you some time. You're currently looking,
I'll send a telegraph off to Jack then at B's place.
all right? It's actually one of Jason Eichholt's assistants that picks up the telegraph ring.
Okay. So I'll have it addressed to Jack, so it's
Alright.
hopefully delivered to him. Basically, I'll tell him I'm going to try to get a hold of him in the next couple days. I'd like him to go to California to meet one of my contacts, Margaret, and see if he can get her and any close relatives she has, bring her back to B's facilities.
Okay.
Give her the address that I've got for her, and then I'll send a second telegram to Margaret, basically stating that I've come to news of some very grim times. I'm going to be sending a gentleman, either myself or gentleman, and kind of introduce Jack, which she should know because he was there at the time. And then basically, have her gather up some of her close relatives and then be prepared.
You do know
to
that,
come out
what is a
east.
telegram, assuming Jack sends a telegram from where he is, it could be a few days before she gets it. Or probably a day or so.
Right. So I'm sending multiple means, so at least if one fails, then the
Okay.
others will hit. You know what I mean? So some redundancies. So once I'm done with that, are we going to go try to find this thing we're looking for?
I'd like to. I wonder if we shouldn't. We haven't dealt with the water water and reclamation department,
Bureau of Water Reclamation, yeah.
but I did in the past.
At that point in time, they had
Done any
changed their
research on
specific
how we could better
aspect within the U.S.
work together
government.
when we're doing magic, so-
Prior, they were kind of like a small
no.
specialty unit, and they became much more broad
I
and
was
encompassing.
assisting,
They
Jeb
became essentially
on our downtown,
their own military
last
force
downtown.
within the army.
Okay. So is it something you think just takes practice?
So the current
and
incarnation
working together,
might be
or is it-
drastically smaller than the one that you're
That I
familiar with.
because things haven't gone quite so bad. But
Both, probably.
procedures that can be done?
what's his name
I
again?
mean, even if we know the procedures,
Who?
it's gonna
The
take
heavy
us
particle guy?
practicing.
Darius
And then
North?
there may
Or are you
be
talking about
some
Omar
ways
Bahowden?
we can develop
The one
our
we
own,
the
so
math the
Chaos
yeah.
Mathematician? That's Omar Bahowden. He's with the New Metric Society.
I don't know how
Okay.
much time we
However,
have
his
left
laboratory, he had a close association with Walter Riker, and B ultimately had him move into her, what is it, her
facilities.
facilities.
We're gonna
He
have to
lives
set
in
down
he
stuff
lives in the main building,
and
but his
prepare.
laboratory and equipment is not too far off, just on the other side of the
our symbols
array
and
field.
stuff.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I
So
agree.
he's in there too.
And what does it
I
take
just
to be a
think we should
follower
be
of
sending
this?
somebody in a dirigible with depth
You and
charges
Jeb
or
have done a
reactors
horrible
that are
job
going
of trying to
critical or
help us
something
with
like
this.
that. And I just don't know who to contact.
I don't
Or
think
isn't
it's.
that part of her?
And
follow-up?
so,
I don't think it's about that.
I will.
You gotta believe.
I'll send him a
and
telegram
you've
too.
gotta,
Basically,
gain her
Okay.
favor.
and
I
it
went
says,
and worked with the cats for quite some time.
believe
And I was
someone
allowed
should
to,
fly over the point in
well, I was
Pacific
allowed
and drop
to, but
depth
From what you
charges.
understand, I
Cat
mean,
chose
he is
me.
fairly well known in his fields,
Jeb just-
especially in the
I think,
Numismatric
like,
Society.
adopted a
He's a
bunch of
world-renowned scientist
Instead of, working
and
at
mathematician.
the,
However, he doesn't necessarily have a lot of
feline
political
sanctuary.
power or access to anything
Yeah.
like
I
this.
also
Do I
Building
do I
money
do I know anybody in the water reclamation from my time that I could call? Try and call.
Hmm.
I'm also
So how
U.S.
do you feel about
military.
going to the
Do I
London Zoo?
do
I'm
I
sure
have
they've got a
anybody's
minor tie
here?
we can transfer.
That
Well, I think you'd even given what is it? You did have a connection or two, which you made recently with the 42nd Infantry.
Yes, I could call. I could try them.
You don't. Unfortunately, you didn't have too much direct contact. A lot of your contacts were MI5 and Dusk, and then MI5 heavily dealt with the U.S. government in that time period.
Okay,
You were mainly based out of London at the time.
There was-
not London, you were based out of Norway, I should say, at the time.
No, they're usually
Um,
captured wild.
Or there are like.
I
captured
will
with injuries
attempt
and
a
stuff
phone
where they
call
couldn't,
to
survive out in the wild.
Potentially, but one back.
the 42nd Rainbow
It's kind of
I
Division.
think she wanted
Okay.
to survive. Or
As
they
high
could
up as I
best
can get.
survive.
You can give me a
They're not-
diploma. I'd say administration or a diplomacy to
Boxes
minus
and
2.
they sink into the ocean shortly.
Alright.
You got, London might sink, but the waves.
Oh. Well, let's contact the cat sanctuary.
If nothing else, it might give you additional favor weather. Maybe.
So which skill and how much you make by?
Any struggles we have in front of us.
Watch the teleport.
I made it straight
It's
up.
out in the ocean.
Either one.
And the deep ones get it.
Either one.
Really-
So
you got
diplomacy
the
was at a
mega
minus
bombs
2.
up.
So the preferred one would be your
Well, I don't know
administration.
exactly, like,
That
I
would have
don't-
been
Why
straight
would
up
you
a minus
assume
12.
you're going to fail?
So.
Okay.
I have a
Oh, so
visual.
both of them were straight up.
Well, you know where the guy is, right? The guy that we went to Kenya?
Given that you did spend a week working with them prior,
Two-fold space,
you
couple
can just
fairy
barely
fires,
get in with a
bam.
Colonel Ash Smith of the 42nd Infantry.
I introduce myself, and
He takes a moment, but he is aware that you had some workings on the heavy cross bridge buttresses inside the New York region.
Did you ever think that perhaps Bass put me in your path?
And I also, if he knows, I'm also currently working on
Could be.
an early version
Teleporting a
of
tiger or lion right
power
now.
armor that I will be wanting to have his people test out when I have some working copies. But I have a more urgent. Yes, there is a chaos mathematician who we've learned to trust greatly. I give him his name and where he's located. He says an event of dimensional happenings is going to occur in the Pacific. I believe, for my own beliefs, that we're going to get a new continent in that area, and it's not going to be a good thing.
He says, "What?"
The British MI5 have demonstrated for me that I've seen several flying machines. I suspect the U.S. has its own. I do not know. I believe someone with one of these should fly over that area and drop as much explosives at great depth as they possibly can. And the time period is, I give them 36 hours.
He does ask about the specific region that you're looking at. From what you had before, you can give me a geology or not specifically geology, a nav C would do it, or a default off nav land.
Raising a seal.
We can't keep double guessing ourselves just because we got zapped once by doing some kind of fulfilling a prophecy. So the best thing is to do pick a course of action.
I don't
In
have-
fairness, you guys have been doing that for years thus
Yes.
far, and you've stopped a lot of bad shit from
Exactly.
happening. So
And you do it, and you don't look back. And
I
hopefully
quizzed the people next to me.
actually
Anybody got any
back
nav?
to a
Nav? Anybody? What
I
does
don't
it?
know,
What
I've
does
been
my group
working
know
with Jim
about
on his nightmares.
that section of ocean? I don't
You
have
can-
any geography.
His
you
nightmares
physically
are-
ask them, and I can give them
are fucking you
rolls.
In the dreaming world. That's
I-
why we can't go there.
I physically asked the team with me. What do we know about that section of water in the
Next to
Pacific? There's almost nothing to.
You guys can give me nav lands. The
Nav
colonel is
lands.
specifically asking about where, like, what type of engagement area you're talking about, or what region.
I tell them where the sigil is and kind of the Marjorie, longitude.
All right. From where you understand, do you have any nav land?
You
can give me nav land.
Cartography?
You're not necessarily looking at a map right now.
Can I look at a map?
You can, but
It'll be too late.
yeah. You'd have to go. Since you don't have photographic memory, you'd have to go back to and collect readings from Omar Bahoudan and try to find out where specifically this is.
So my tube.
Ultimately, you can convey it. The colonel does say that, given how deep the sea is in that region, you're looking at about, even if you're very accurate, maybe about a quarter of a mile, and then
They don't have
potentially
anything that can touch it.
they don't really have anything that not only would touch it, but it would be really stab in the dark. Literally like throwing rocks in a cornfield.
Yeah.
He's willing to devote, what the hell is it? He's willing, unlike the MI5, who currently has their own problems right at the moment.
Yes.
He's willing to devote resources to whatever action you want to take place if you think it would prevent something from happening. However, even if they sent some of their larger depth charges or even sent a battleship in that region, you're going to have to give him more specific area than in this region, maybe a mile or two deep,
We'll have to investigate.
over a quarter of a mile. And he can get an airship there fairly quickly, but he can only get like a naval vessel there probably in about a day and a half.
And that's about what we're working on. We're working on about a day and a half, right?
Yeah, he could get an airship there quicker, just it wouldn't have the same kind of payload.
And armaments. So we don't know if we need the boat. We just don't have
think we have
we haven't had a
Hunter
chance to
drive
do
the boat.
research. We asked MI5 to do some research. We told them an hour ago. Presumably they're
I think
working
you
on
should
Yeah.
drive the boat.
If we're going to go there,
We'll
we're
get a
not taking a boat.
tugboat. We'll get a tugboat with a
And we'll
harpoon
get
on
there
it.
in an hour.
Yeah, I want
Like on Jaws.
Froc's old boat that smells like...
However, Colonel Ash
He
does seem to be
does
willing to
have,
devote, as I said,
Elvis
devote
stuff
resources
like
to
that.
this,
Yeah, I know.
but he needs more specifics about where he's sending his people, what he's sending, and what a target is, other than something's happening, it's huge, it's within a large area,
Why don't
blow
you
it
just
up.
ask them to put some observation resources there? Something that they can afford to lose.
Well,
I guess we'll have to point that. Maybe we'll have some information coming in future. If you go as loaded as you can on short notice, send both a naval and an airship, then possibly we can get you some further information in 6, 12, 18 hours, which will help.
He'll
Keep
get
in mind, everybody
together.
you're sending there is going to die.
I was going to say, put a sigil on the ship, and
No, everybody that goes there is going to die because once the
It
event
does
occurs,
seem like
you
Colonel
know-
Ash does hear this over the phone, because you guys are talking, you're on the phone, you were
Yep.
asking them. He's willing to devote, what is it? Unless you have a more solid plan, he's not going to just send people out there to die. He can devote an airship that would have a good line of sight to it from a distance and high atmosphere, not high atmosphere, but pretty high up off the ground, which he feels comfortable enough where deep ones, or what he'll say is blue Hades, will not be able to interact with it, or at least wouldn't divert resources to interact with it. But he's not going to send 3 or 4 ships there just to sit and destroy.
Yeah.
That's exactly what would happen. I'll take the phone. What you're dealing, you need to have a military observation post put on that spot.
He'll send out essentially a high altitude aerial reconnaissance vehicle over there.
Something that can run quickly.
He says it'll stay up there. It will be moving fairly quickly, but hopefully it won't be noticed.
Yep.
And he'll give you information regarding it. What the hell is it?
The return of the Blue Hades High Priest. That's
He'll-
what's happening.
He'll get things ready off of the shore of California.
That'd be bad.
Then he'll send in a reconnaissance probably about 4 or 5 hours from now. If there's some area where he can contact you, any additional information that you could help him figure out what specifically is happening, he's willing to help.
Yep.
But as he said, he's not risking a bunch of ships for nothing out there.
understood. Completely understood.
Do you have any classified documents or anything out there? Or?
He knows that that is probably one of 16 larger cities that they're aware of.
Okay.
For the most part, it's so far into the Blue Hades territory that it's never been really a target of anything. It's usually the ones around Britain and the ones off the east coast
Right.
that they've been primarily worried about. There's one he'll say that's south of Alaska, but otherwise no, that's never been a huge target, and they've never come up with any tactical scenario where they went that far into the heart of enemy territory. Primarily just logistical means.
The Chaos Mathematician is pointing to that area. We've come to trust his pointing.
Tell him it was
That's
a
the
machine.
initiation of
He
all
says,
this.
what is he pointing to? What does he
Most likely a
sees?
machine.
He
You suspect a
sees
machine. It could be a magical ritual.
a dimensional
Extremely fast.
process occurring
Well, the conclusion.
in other dimensions that have happened. He'd have to explain it to you, but
I said he understands that. I mean, he has one in New York now, and probably about 8 others occurring across the U.S. So he understands dimensional rifts, and he understands that they're bad. But unless you can give him some substantial reason to,
he only sees the big ones. Those are the ones we react to. The last one was we stopped the mother of monsters at Stonehenge.
so you know something big's happening there,
We know
but
something's
not
big there, but we don't have
not
the
where
resources
exactly it is, other than it's under the water and it's going to be big.
I think you've done all you can do.
Yeah,
So
I
made
think
aware
this is
of
all
it.
I can do. This is
He'll-
the gray I operate in.
He'll ask for your contact information and other various other means of communication with you, and he'll tell you what he can find out. They'll radio back via shortwave radio within probably about 4 or 5 hours from now. and they'll watch it. However, he's not sure if they can physically see anything. They do have advanced sensors, and they should be able to tell you something, but...
That's all. That's the best we can ask for. We're just trying to make sure everybody knows what's going on. So.
All right. Otherwise, he'll give you contact information if you can't get a hold of him directly to Lieutenant Pierce inside of the 42nd Infantry.
All right.
I could try up to the point where you guys wanted to leave.
And what's his name again? Colonel what?
Colonel Ash
Yith
Smith.
material.
And he doesn't give the lieutenant's first name.
At this
Well,
point,
it's not necessarily on the Yith that we want to research. It would be on the Blue Hades as far as the return of raw lie or whatever it is.
at this point, has that kicked in where things are starting to like get looser to cash shit?
Not in your neck of the woods, no. However, the reports from the Chantry have been that near Nepal and Mount Everest, there isn't any restriction anymore. However, there have been vague wordings over the last 12 hours that they've even come across twisted Nefandi coming through the madness
Nefandi?
there. They'll mention that Nefandis are a type of...
Isn't that what we ran into?
Taomi was one type of Nefandi.
Okay.
He'll tell you that
That's what
there's a way in which somebody's soul, their very essence, can become inverted, and
Inverts.
not an invert, but ultimately their soul is twisted inside out permanently, and they become some sort of twisted creation monster. He'll say,
very, very
that
powerfully magical.
ultimately try to unmake reality.
When they try to unmake reality once they become Nefandi.
He doesn't know.
They can
They're not
think
really
whatever
something
they
that you.
think becomes reality.
Is it
Oh,
contagious?
They're kind of like
and they
mad,
can,
so they don't
and they
try
can
to. It just
unmake
happens.
patterns just by thinking it. Your arm doesn't exist anymore, and you'd be like, "What? Why am I bleeding to death? My arm isn't there anymore."
They don't know exactly their rhyme or reasoning, other than they touched something out there on the other side of the universe, and they came back wrong. And their purpose generally seems to be unmaking creation, and they seem to have the means to do so. Now, if they're more powerful magi that are in the fields, they even have two of their tribunal members building wards around the region to trying to stop the madness from spreading. But they're trying to get a hold of it. But, I mean, fucking Nefandi, ancient creatures, doles the size of cities.
It's a lot of badness. A lot of badness. They got their hands full. Quit bugging them.
So
what are we doing?
What can we do to research what's going on in that area of Blue Hades?
Are you asking them, the Chantry?
Or are you asking the DM?
I'll ask the Chantry then. What do you know about this area? And
They can
how
inform you of the different libraries. Offhand, they're aware that it is near one of the major Deep One cities. Supposedly, they say that a lot of their civilization was there at one point in time, but it's kind of spread out across the waters.
Are there any tales?
They wouldn't say
of,
it's necessarily their capital, but it's one of their largest congregations.
Are there like events like, oh, if this occurs, then Dagon can rise?
He says there's thousands of prophecies like that. Most of them never come to fruition. Some of them do. It's so hard to tell. He'll tell you that.
What would you like me to research?
He'll probably
What
tell you
is
that there have
Dagon?
been close to about 30 apocalypse prophecies over the last 20 years that haven't come to pass. And one of them did recently just trigger. So they really can't discern what's real and what's not. Or if it's just there's so many estimates that one of them's got to hit pay dirt.
So here's my thoughts. I'll throw out to the group. Two things we could do. If you want to try to research this, say we go to the cave on the coast of Scotland, throw our gold piece in the well, see if our buddy shows up. We can question him. Maybe he'll give us some information, a direction to do research. Personally, I don't think there's really much research we can do. So I would prefer to take the second option, which is we go to this place where the Yith stashed that guy, recover him, and after he's in a safe spot, then maybe we can do these other things.
That's my thought, because if Britain falls,
So
we
that's
lose
the Yith
him,
stuff
to my
then?
knowledge.
What's that?
So you want to go do the Yith stuff then?
I think it's better because we got multiple time frames here. This is what the resistance needs to be a resistance.
I haven't found
We
anybody
need
yet.
this guy's knowledge.
I'd say probably about an hour or so has passed. You'd be able to find somebody. They can give you the basics, and they can devote you to certain tomes which they can help you look for in the library. They don't have the time to teach you specifically, but if you want to try to learn it over a time period, you could get the fundamentals and try to do it.
So could I take one of the books, whether that be with permission or secretly?
He says normally you'd be able to check it out as part of a member of the Chantry. He thinks that there's certain policy changes given the current conditions, so they might not let you check out books from the Chantry at this point. He says they can use it while you're inside the Chantry right now.
So I can't take
Well,
this
until you
outdated
guys take
Yith
action,
material?
However, he will tell you that if you have like a flashbulb camera or something, that's allowable. He just thinks that there's certain material that's not supposed to be checked back out of the Chantry at this point in time for fear that it's never going to get back to the Chantry.
What about this updated Yith
You can,
material?
when
Are
we
they
get
allowing
down
me
here, you can go
take
back
it
to New
out?
York,
Or
stay in the
this is
Chantry and use
also
it.
inside?
Well,
It's a
try to
broad
get as
policy
much of it
covering
down as
all
I
of the
can
Chantry's
before we go
libraries right
Well,
now.
we're going to go. You don't have
What are you
time.
researching?
They say that they will allow you to take photographs of anything and then develop
I can't
them
take
later.
photographs of each damn page.
Sure you can.
They understand that, but they can't determine how many of these books are ever going to come back in,
Yep.
and a lot of these could be pertinent to the future
plan.
if they find out
Initial
something
plan,
about maybe the Yith or the High Priest of the Deep Ones or yada yada yada, and they try to find the reference material, and the 4 copies they have are all checked out. Well,
What's Althea working on right now? She's
Althea
working
will
on-
tell you that she's working on various wards and primal energy research.
Basically
She's learned
using
quite a bit
full
over the
space and
last
gravity to fly.
few months, and you can check on. Is it here? I'll give you a copy of this.
in a convenient package.
You'll see Althea's.
Yeah, and he said
Spell
he
list
put
here.
a light on it too.
It's very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay, I can put a light
Yeah,
on
put
yours.
a light on it.
That's
Because
mostly
I have that one that the radio won't work and it's heavy. Just
Well,
for the light.
the radio does work. The only time that you used it, you were inside of a serpent structure, and the door shut behind you, and the radio shut off.
Talk to me.
That doesn't mean the radio isn't working. It means other people aren't using their radios to
Basically,
talk to
you know,
you.
No
Why
one's
use it?
using the radio.
Yeah, the thing was too heavy, so I didn't even take one.
Otherwise, Althea will tell you that she's learned a lot regarding wards and primal energy. She has even figured out how to, she's been taught how to use a primal blast.
Counter magic.
She does know counter magics. As opposed to the group, she's gone through a more formal education of training, starting at the lowest tiers and moving up, which counter magics are one of the earliest things that you learn because magic is horrible.
Yep, you should know how to turn it off.
Yep. She had recently, however, managed to summon a Byakhee. She was quite proud of herself.
That's pretty big stuff.
She'll tell you that, yeah, she's learned quite a bit. And as I said, there, you can look at the new spells
Does
I
she
have
want to come with us
updated.
then? I'm sure we'll come across some wards and things of that nature.
I suppose she can. She definitely wants to continue her research here, but she thinks that she no longer would be a burden in the field.
What is she
We're game.
currently working on?
Currently working on, she is learning how to summon a night gaunt. She says they're very quiet creatures and very stealthy. They're very good couriers, and apparently they're neutral by nature. It's only the summoners that actually use them for nefarious purposes.
Quite familiar with them.
So it's kind of like having a dog.
She says that they're, I suppose, yeah, they're kind of considered like a carrier creature.
Magical dog.
And provided you properly protect yourself, she thinks she should be able to summon one. She just hasn't practically done it yet. However, the Chantry has very restrictive rules regarding summoning
Yeah.
outside the Chantry areas.
Alright, so do you know where we need to go?
Yes. Scotland, I believe it is.
Gator's photographic memory, you know where the location was. It was in a, what is it? It was north of Edinburgh, I think.
I think
And,
so, because we spent time in Chester Crispin's home,
Yep.
and,
And
that
there was
like the last
there was a
spot before we
national
went there.
park. There was a Scotland park farther up past his property, and he had a map written of where roughly the area was.
So is she
It wasn't
coming
actually
with?
near. It wasn't near his home. It
I
was probably
assume it
about
would be beneficial
15
since
miles or so
Yeah, it
away.
was- yeah.
You guys had to take bikes to
So we're
get
gonna
there
go
because it's
break
pretty
in
Took
and
far
it, yeah,
in.
it was like a day's travel, I remember.
So
So,
I'm guessing
or
they
a day and a
have a
half.
border.
So.
But you guys could get there. What the hell is it? You guys could
Bike.
get there probably within the day or two.
Yeah.
How far
you-
away is it?
It's probably about. It's inside. What is it? It's on the. What the hell is it? It's inside of Scotland. From London, I want to say that it would take probably about 8 hours via.
Before
8 or
we
9
leave
hours
it?
via vehicle, I think. To
Can
get
you
a
show me on a
guesstimate.
map so I can fold space over there and bada bing bada boom?
This is him.
Yeah. I'll show you on the map. This
Before
is
you guys
this is
go,
his
do you want
house.
to get wards put on you? Because, like, they put wards on my head.
Yeah, I got one. You see it.
They
It's
gave you
Ash Sunday.
a mental ward for right now.
Yeah.
It was fairly quick. They did say that it's not necessarily permanent, but they're kind of moving resources around. Michael Larson did give you, if you guys wrote down, access to a small cache of supplies.
Yep.
I'm not sure if somebody wrote it down, I think.
Hunter.
Jeb might have wrote it down.
I think you two went.
No, I think because I was with
I did
you.
not write it
Is
We
this
down.
got
not
16
the
units
British?
of one at best. And then we got the...
Yeah, he's kind of the quartermaster, right?
we got the stuff from MI5. I didn't recall anything that Mike Larson had given us.
The wine was from Michael Larson, I believe.
Okay. So
No,
that's
that
what I
was
have. I don't know if
changed.
he had more than that.
Is he the same as the Chantry?
Michael Larson is an
the
acting
face.
director for the Chantry. You know that he's not nearly the most powerful individual there, but he's kind of like the regional. I don't want to say regional manager. He's kind of like the acting manager right now. And there's a lot of powerful and tribunal members that ultimately kind of pull the strings. But he's very sociable. He's not extremely eccentric or out of the way like a lot of the powerful magi are. I mean, you guys are even getting to that point where, like, I'm in my laboratory, far away from everyone else, devising whatever kind of weird scheme. And a lot of the powerful magi are just like that. A lot of them not even here in this dimension. They're just associated with the Chantry. So he is the acting representative here for the Chantry. He's very sociable. He has a lot of diplomatic skills. He would be an individual that would be high in the ranks of like the previous mercurial order. If you remember, that house was specifically dealt with this, and they weren't the most powerful house. They were actually considered one of the weakest, but they handled everyone's business. So if couriers needed to be sent out, if the houses needed some sort of representation between themselves, they'd always send out somebody from the mercurial order.
So he's become necessary.
In the medieval period, conflicts between magi could often escalate very rapidly and destructively. So it's best to send somebody from the mercurial order.
So, what's the plan? I didn't get to finish my reading.
He's showing me the spot on the map. I'm gonna fold space. I'm gonna create some fairy fire symbols and teleport us there.
If I don't have a mental symbol on my forehead, can I get one?
So,
Yeah,
where are
you
we
can.
going?
Can I have one in
gonna
Scotland?
We're going to Scotland.
Scotland?
We're in
Why
London.
are we
We're
going
going-
to Scotland?
We're going to Scotland. If we're in a place where there's no one else around, it's relative privacy, and go to an ancient alien, I don't know,
Are we shooting
bunker, and we're going to break into it, and there's something there that we're going to steal. And there might be aliens along the way that we'll have to shoot.
it? Okay.
Pretty good.
Okay?
All right.
Unless you'd care to take a sip, Professor.
I mean,
Now, how much does everybody know about
Pudding
Yith?
can assist. Can I assist?
Can I shoot them?
Do they believe?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, Pudding,
They
I
look
will
like
assist.
a conal base with a long, heavy thing coming up, and it's like pod-like arms coming off. So apparently they can kind of look like anything, but they also have that kind of look. So
All right. There is a city nearby, a Stonehaven.
Sounds like a backwards carrot to me.
They do have more maps regarding the Stonehaven area. That might be a little less penalty than anything else. The area he's pointing to is a park that's kind of northwest of there.
Okay.
What do Urquhart sigil gloves do for me again?
They provide you with a base sigil to start with, and it's not necessarily the best thing, but it's better than nothing. It's like, well, I got one monkey wrench in here. It's better than using my hand.
and this one just gives me a +1 when I use the sigils.
Just for the sake of argument, I drew the fold space again on the chest.
Okay.
So I guess I'll try to fold space so we can view the space.
Physically view it.
Right.
Okay. You can give me a fold space roll.
And we'll obviously
What is
we'll
your-
have to leave the Chantry, so we go try to find like an isolated place in
Okay.
London, an alley where there's nobody in there, or something like that.
Yep.
So not flaunting our crazy magic. You said fold space.
Yep.
Let's see. So that'd be a
How do I
success.
assist?
Success by 8.
You need to give me a fold space roll as well.
And then for
I don't think you have reciprocal magics, do you?
What's reciprocal magic?
Formal training and
Aiding.
No, we
aiding.
read a book and then we taught it to each other.
All right. So then you can give me a fold space.
See, I knew there was something we needed to learn. It's
This
reciprocal
is the
magic.
part where I'm supposed to negative help you?
My too.
There are formalized means of more efficiently aiding people, even getting mages together where they would be able to create massive effects.
That's
And
right.
the vast majority of their...
That's what we're doing here. We're going to
This
learn
is-
it.
We're gonna learn
You
by
theoretically
doing.
could try to learn it through years of practice.
No,
or-
we're going to have to go right to the guy to teach us. 'cause
Okay.
We need to fast track.
Does Puddin have that?
From what you understand, you share common abilities with Puddin through your dreams. So Puddin doesn't actually know how to transpose, but since you're technically connected to her now,
She's got the puppet spells.
Cast transpose. Cast
it's also the reason that you learn spells from the cats rapidly.
Okay. Well, the thing is, I can't go into the dreamlands with Jeff because his nightmares, like Freddy Krueger comes out. I'm like, no, sorry.
Yep. He
Yes,
started
we
to
can't
develop his
learn
dreaming
cool
ability, and
things.
he found out he had nightmares.
Problems.
Yeah. So what did you make your fold space by?
By two.
By 2? All right. You with your fold space and your fold
And
space.
what about Puddin? Puddin got no full space? Or no space?
Puddin does no fold space. You don't get any bonus for this particular usage.
She's shaking her head at us.
For the most part, the cats are a little bit capricious. They kind of do their own thing occasionally. You do notice that there does seem to be a significant ease in practicing your magics when things like you're fighting demons or other things of that nature. That seems to be in alignment with Bast's ideals and...
You're not in alignment. See, we should have gone to the zoo. All right.
No, he wanted me to teleport a tiger back to its homeland. And I'm like, I don't think that's gonna...
You would have said, what? Power Investor 5?
Otherwise, you do see a bent space. Describe the bent space that you're trying to create here.
Basically, I'll just try to create like a portal, kind of like a viewing screen. And
Okay.
I want it to be, say, 50 feet up in the air over the area.
So, from your current position in the alleyway,
Yep, so I can sit in here, so they're all kind of like looking at the TV
so
screen.
some sort of
And then it's-
bent path through the air coming down above
Yeah.
stone.
So I can try to get some kind of overview of it.
Stonehaven?
Yeah.
Okay. You can accomplish that. It takes you a little bit to try to figure out where the town is specifically. I'm assuming... What the hell is it?
I'll aid as much as I can with my photographic memory from.
I was gonna
You
say,
do the
don't
what is it? You do have the
not
tattoos, so you
aiding.
don't need that base. So yeah, it takes you a little bit to figure out where specifically the city is.
Remember,
Um,
imagine.
Technically speaking, if somebody were looking perfectly at this point with a telescope, they'd be like, "What the fuck am I looking at?"
Right. Yeah, no, I understand that there's inherent dangers with it. But
Okay.
I'm taking risks that I
You have a
want,
rough
but-
idea where you're looking at right now. There's no sigil out there, but you have. It's better than just looking at it on a map
Right.
because the map is not.
Right. Does this look like the space you need to go to?
Does it?
You had passed through the town before, heading to the location. It looks.
How far was it past town?
The homestead was only probably about 2 miles out of town, and then the location was probably about, I want to say, 5 to 12 miles
Take care of this.
away
We're gonna
from
learn
there.
other stuff. And
We
help
should
Jeff
probably
with
go
his
to the
nightmares.
Chester's place is 2 miles out of town, and the location is 12 miles past that. So.
His place is about 2 miles out of town. Yeah, 5 to... It's a large section of forest, and ultimately you had to work through a map that Chester Crispin had provided, and it was following a lot of trails, so you're not sure about the specific region in which you were traveling. It took you a few hours once you were there on bike to get in there.
All right. Well, I don't think anybody here has huge issues with larceny, right? I can start creating a fairy fire sigil around us. One on the other side, if I can. On the ground, not way up in the air.
Okay. So you'll have to give me another fold space to try to get... Well... you said you were trying to carry the... How far above the land?
It was originally I said like 30 or 40 feet, kind of looking down.
Okay. I would say you spend some time, you look around to the sides. You can find an area. I would probably say some sort of large farm field.
Yeah.
It hasn't been too dry, so you don't think it should be an issue. But fairy fire can, in fact, burn things.
Oh, okay. It's not purely illusional, and then you think
So
believe the
where
illusion,
do you-
so then your body causes the burn. It actually has a fire.
From what is it? I'm not sure if you read fully through the description of fairy fire. However,
What
it's...
do you think?
As I'd mentioned before, generally speaking, sentient individuals can easily be tricked. However, powerful fairy fire magic effects can literally trick objects.
All right. Fool the corn. I love it.
And they will catch on fire.
Okay.
You have noticed before that you lit a cigarette in a powerful fairy fire effect.
No, that's true. I'm sure my fairy fire can't be that powerful.
This year's harvest.
I would equate it a little bit to kind of like D&D shadow magic. There's a hint of reality there,
Gotcha.
and normally that minor amount isn't much, but if you have a huge amount of effect, that little fraction is enough to start doing something.
10% of the population of the U.S. is a big number.
Yeah.
All right. So fairy fire we need, right?
Yep.
Foxfire.
When you can assist, I don't know that yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna fail by 1.
Give me another roll, nothing bad's happened thus yet.
That's right. Nothing's happened. That's how you do it, Professor. You build
Kind
it
of
up.
at a weird angle, it's a little bit hard to tell.
Here we go. So 2, success by 2.
Okay, and then give me a symbol drawing. Now, the symbol drawing happens immediately, but you had to visualize in your head what the fairy fire was going to come into effect.
So success by 6.
Looks good.
Okay. If I feel good about it, then I take a 6. So now I've got the one on our end.
Yep.
Do I have the? So do I? Did both all these roll get both signals? I want both start and end points.
You'll give me another fairy fire and a symbol drawing for here.
Okay. So the one for here.
But mind you, for here, you could literally take a piece of chalk and draw
I
it. It
suppose I
just
could
take
have.
longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Success by 4. And then the symbol draw. Oh,
down
here's
there,
the 16.
Yeah, what did it say?
Well, it doesn't have the double whammy though, so that's good. So then symbol drawing, I make it on the nose.
Seems good enough here. I mean, you could probably spend more time, but if you were willing to spend more time, you would have done this out on chalk. And
That's right. And I take a 6.
And just so you know, the fairy fire effects, when they're smaller, like the one in the alleyway, they do, in fact, it feels like it burns, like it chafes your ankles, so you kind of grab and kind of move away from the sigil edge, and you're like, oh, shit! And
Quit
you're like,
moving around, people. Stay inside. You're making it harder than it needs to be.
he's telling you, oh, well, it's technically not really real, but you will see scraps of paper and other things like that fully combust and change.
Close your eyes. And
And I assist on this transfer.
You can?
this could be bad. We don't know how to reciprocate.
It's just you're not very good at, working in,
Great, we got squeezed through 2 straws this time.
Do you want me to or not?
If you feel up to it.
you're not good at working in unison. You're not as efficient as you could be.
Here's my goal. Kaboom! If you want to help me, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, I'll try it with put in cell.
It's a little bit like if you had 2 burly guys moving a couch, but both of them had their own ideas about how the couch should be moved.
And they were mutes, so they didn't actually talk.
Made it by 3.
Alright, I made it by 6.
All
We're
right.
winners.
Ultimately, you guys do move to the new location.
See, there's an arm.
There's a bit disorientation for anyone that doesn't have body sense.
I got by some.
I got
good.
All right, so everyone's fine there in the new location.
I'll let
Other
everything
than
go.
you may occasionally kind of pull your finger up and take kind of a small minor burn on a hand as you're kind of like, all right, everyone's made. Oh shit, burning still. You're standing in a circle of flame.
Can I put it
Really?
off?
You
Okay.
can't put it out right away?
Give me a roll.
You gotta do rolls to turn things off?
Well, with your initial success, you just made it, and it doesn't just immediately dissipate.
Oh, I see. Is it going to go away in a short period of time? Or?
It should.
Okay, I'll walk away.
Okay. You guys walk away from the small burning field, Terminator-esque.
Oh,
Yep.
good job.
He's come from the future to save your humanity.
Looks like they've had some decent water here. I don't think anything's going to burn too long.
No, it looks like it might catch one of the a few of the corn stalks that are kind of near, or whatever field it is, around it, but the plant's too wet and it should just die off eventually.
It's Scotland. It's not like it's in the midst of a drought. Wildfires.
If it doesn't look like it's going to spread, then
It doesn't look like it.
I'm walking towards the...
If anything, there might be an unusual, crop circle that an individual might come across in the future. Like, this is weird. It looks like some sort of cult did this.
but I can't tell because the world's being overrun by.
We'll go to the nearest... Or I start heading towards the nearest building.
Okay. coming over, you
Where,
will
where did you bring us? To the town or by the...
This would be
it'd be on the edge of the town.
probably about a quarter mile out of town in a farm field. This is near Stonehaven. This is the place where you had picked up mail from the future, or
Yeah.
that had essentially been kind of Back to the Future to you. Somebody had mailed it to you and with specific instruction
dead.
about where you were supposed to leave it.
Wasn't it dead people mailing and stuff from the future?
Supposedly, people in the past were sending you mail that was supposed to be delivered at certain points of time, and you don't know. Your character
Right.
is not there. You'd remember. It seemed like most people were dead, but there was a strange mailman that kept delivering the mail. He was like 7'8" and drove a motorcycle.
I suspected half Fey. That's what he did.
Okay.
How come we don't have like a chitty bang bang car that we can like try and pose with us?
Because you haven't built it yet.
He hasn't had time to build it yet.
Built that.
Really? Because I'm pretty sure you're trying to make the equivalent in bracelets.
Exactly.
No, that's for flying.
You
We're
can,
right.
you can
Haven't
use
you ever
my
seen Chitty Chitty
car
Bang
as
Bang?
the bang
Chitty Chitty
fence.
Bang Bang is a flying car.
I have a car.
Haven't you seen
can
that
use
movie?
that.
I
you gotta do
I
is
don't
do it- no.
teleport. I
I
fly.
haven't seen the movie, but I
Yeah.
know the reference.
You
know.
need a really small car that's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside.
So
It's a flying car.
we're out in kind of a field, right?
Yes.
Okay, I
I
would
thought
like to cast a
Packard
bubble
said-
around myself with normal gravity.
Okay.
And that's a success by...
All right. Someone's playing with magic. I step away.
This is a gesture that he ultimately is using, so you guys can physically see him use his hands.
So
Those are the
pass by
thaumatology.
4.
He's not trying to hide it, so you can see that he's...
Pass by
Is
4.
it similar?
You believe the effect went off. It's hard to tell because
Yeah.
it's still normal.
And then I would make a shell around that of, like, to make me kind of seem like I'm at the center of like, something of decent density. Like, you know, about as much as I weigh. So give, you know, a gravity shell to kind of mimic, like, having mass inside.
How much mass inside? Double your own or just your own?
How about double my own?
Okay. Juice.
And, wow.
Critical success!
Pass by 4.
Double your own mass is pretty still insignificant regarding
But I'm
gravity.
mimicking mass. Okay. And now I will create a little gravity, like another shell, so around kind of what I have going. But this one's more of an oval shape where, you know, I have I've been doing spheres, but now I'm going to do a little oval. And
Okay.
in kind of the direction of the arrow, kind of, you know, the little pinch off.
Above you,
So like a
I'm going to
teardrop.
kind of have it going at a little bit of an angle, you know?
relative to your facing.
Yes. So straight ahead, kind of up a little.
Like a 45, 30 degree
and
angle.
I'm going to be ready to turn this off.
Okay.
Is that the better one?
But just this last one.
Is it-
And I'm going to... So, I'm going to cast it so it pulls me in that direction, you know?
All right.
Does that make sense?
How strongly do you want it to point you in that direction? Or are you just casting it?
I'm casting it at Earth gravity.
Okay.
So, that's a pass by 9.
Pass by 9.
But I specified what I wanted, so it's not like...
Yeah.
Passing is getting
I was asking if you just wanted to go with it. You just disappear like the fucking Taken or something like. Whoa! Just not the
Oh my gosh.
And then he goes, oh shit, and he breaks his concentration.
most part between the normal gravity pulling you down and this 1G kind of pulling you off in that direction, you'll find objects on your person will become just slightly floating. Some of your hair will just kind of
Okay.
sit there, and it does seem to kind of gravitate that direction, but they're mostly canceling each other out. However, it does feel a little bit off-putting as you kind of walk around, because every once in a while your leg kind of moves up a little bit quicker than you would expect it.
So,
you
I will
hang
try
over
to...
Yep, there's some hang
I
time.
will
You'd
try
imagine that
to-
you might be able to get some sweet dunks in directly in front of you.
I will keep the horizontal component at normal gravity,
Okay.
but I will increase the vertical component to double. So, you know,
Give me a roll.
counteracting
So
Earth's
he's
gravity.
breaking away.
Okay? What am I
Mind you, you already have 1G in this direction and you have 1G down.
Yeah.
If you do 2G up, you'll essentially have mostly 1G going up and then...
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm ready to cut this off.
We'll have one.
I'm just moving away because I don't want to be caught in any
Thaumatology, I can cut this off pretty fast, right?
You should be able to use the spell to either reverse or deconstruct the effects.
I thought of that
Okay.
too, and then my skin got stripped off.
And so that's 12. Straight up pass.
Okay.
But I was only adjusting.
You haven't fully adjusted. It does seem as though it is starting to pick up. Your effect wasn't as powerful as your 1G.
Okay.
If anything, you feel lighter.
Do I start to float?
If you jump, you have a longer...
Kind of like slow, kind of...
Yeah, it takes you a while to actually come back. So ultimately, I suppose
Like a moonwalk?
at one point in time you will jump, and then you'll get to close to about 12 feet up, and then slowly start to come back down.
So even better than a moon.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will slowly crank it up.
Okay. To 1G.
To
I
2
thought
total, right?
You never reached 1G with your roll. You didn't
Okay.
effectively make your power roll by enough.
So
However, you're mostly
I was,
you're canceling out a portion of your gravity pulling down.
I thought I was at 1G
You had,
originally.
you had 1G pulling down, 1G going off at a 45-degree angle.
Okay.
And then you said you wanted to keep your kind of half of that moving this way, and then you wanted to up this until, whereas you wanted to head up 1 more G. But you never accomplished that.
Okay.
It started to build.
I wanted my up component
To be twice as much, you said.
to negate gravity and be the same as the horizontal.
Yep, and it never fully got off 1G based on your roll.
Over. You are going.
And
Yep.
that's a
As
fail
if
by
you
1.
jumped off a cliff.
Failed by 1. Nothing's happened as of yet.
Okay.
I'm kind of still in the same moon boots zone.
Gravity is
And that is a pass by 4.
I understand.
Okay.
You got, he's
you
got
can give me a
before he
fright
gets to
check.
terminal velocity.
Oh my god.
So now he's falling
Maybe
that way at a 45-degree angle.
And that is a pass by 9.
All right. You're not afraid, but essentially you rapidly start falling. You're probably about, within the first turn, you're about 9 meters off the ground. 9.8 meters off
Is
the
he just
ground?
like tumbling through the air like if he fell off a cliff?
I have a sphere of normal gravity around me, so I'm still oriented normally. And then around that, I'm mimicking mass with another gravity well. And then I'm kind of around that, creating something that pulls that mass.
So he's moving up at now farther than a 45-degree angle upward like this, forward.
So how far up?
Right now, 10 meters.
That might not kill you.
30
Well-
feet,
well,
about
I-
the 3rd story of a building.
I will
get to that
slowly
point
tone
of
down
being-
the vertical component.
Okay. You can give me... Well, there's a roll first.
Okay. So that's a pass by
When did
3.
they come up
You
with
can give me a
free-
body
No,
sense.
pass by
Like in the
4.
1930s?
You can give me a body sense or a free fall. Because as you're kind of hitting the air, different like your pockets, what have you, are kind of dragging
Well,
a little bit more than...
I have the normal gravity
That's a
bubble
good
around
question.
me, though. Remember, that's kind of
Influenced
supposed
by
to
what
negate
he's
those
done.
vertigo effects.
Well, they would have had like the rock.
That was the whole
tier.
That's
Right.
pulling down at 1G. However, you're currently moving up at a half a
But,
G,
like,
kind of in this direction,
came
and then
from
getting
a
closer to
farm
2
with
Gs
corn
upward.
The
and-
theory is the
and they
bubble
said
is
this guy
moving
does
at that rate, but I'm still in the normal G.
So we should
That-
have
that's
a
what I'm
car
trying
can
In that
fly.
case, if you're not canceling the gravitational effects on your person, you will never move.
But
You're
I'm
moving the
creating-
gravity around
I'm
you.
creating kind of a fake mass around me.
hmm
Yeah.
But there isn't a mass there.
Okay. But gravity can mimic mass, and 2 gravities affecting each other can have the effect of a mimicked mass.
I would say theoretically the gravitons moving through this heavy gravity field would still not be...
Because a gravity can affect another gravity without... Gravity affects gravity, and it doesn't have to affect mass, is what I'm saying. Fields
But in
can
that
affect each
instance,
other.
then the 2 gravitational fields acting in coercion would still be pulling you up in that direction. If you try to have a strong field and still go up at about 2 Gs, you're still going to be pulling off in that direction.
I will feel like I'm moving like I would in a car, but I'm still in my normal gravity, so like my pockets aren't going to start floating and stuff like that.
Well, as you're moving through the air at about, 10 meters acceleration per second,
Uh-huh.
different parts of your body have different air drag.
Okay.
So as you're falling, you're starting to tumble
Okay.
because your pockets are catching air and you're moving forward.
True.
So this is what's causing your tumbling. You're not
But that should be
tumbling
pretty
because of
minimal.
gravity. Well, you're starting to accelerate at 10 meters per second. Next turn, you're going to be going 20 meters, so on and so forth.
So I'm going to slowly slow that.
So as I
already
mentioned-
made that roll.
Flying just means
I still need a body sense
I
roll
want
from you,
shitty bang
or a
bang
free
for
fall.
That's what I'd like to have
That's
too.
a bad idea.
But he hasn't even seen it. He doesn't know what
That
we're
is
talking
a
about. It might be
pass by
I
seven.
want a boobity-blah.
Okay.
He'd be like, what?
So ultimately, how far did you want to tone it down?
Floating.
To just a
We had
a little below normal gravity.
boat too.
So I should start slowly falling.
Okay. You're still moving forward.
Yeah, I'm still moving forward, but I should be.
Half G.
I just keep walking towards the city or the town.
Mind you, okay, you are slightly below. The only thing is with your forward G acceleration, you're starting now to get up close to about, I would say, 5 meters a second. So as you kind of moon jumped up and are starting to accelerate and then starting to pull down, you're still accelerating forward.
Okay, so
So you're going to hit more of the cornfield
I will-
going at...
I will turn that off.
Okay.
I will try to tone down the.
It's taking you a while to fall, but you imagine
Okay.
by the time you reach the road, you may be going 40 miles an hour.
Oh my gosh, there's like an old carton.
There's a Coca-Cola car just passing the road at that point in time. It's like, no!
I started asking Althea what she thinks of the weather today.
She seems to be just dumbfounded looking at this right now. I suppose fine, and then she just looks over at this again.
Pass by 5.
All right, you can start to... What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to
Trying not to
decelerate
kill
my
myself, I should say.
horizontal.
By... Decelerate by how?
I'm putting a field like in the opposite horizontal.
So you're trying to
direction.
reverse your acceleration.
Yes, but
Do what you did.
you know, kind of. I'm trying to turn off my original horizontal and turn on a slow one backwards because it's going to be acceleration, not velocity. And made it by 5.
All right. How powerful of an effect? You said slowly. What's slowly? Your
Quarter
original
G.
was a half quarter G. Okay. You're starting to slow down now. You should have some time prior to hitting the ground, but I would say at about 0.8 Gs. And how far are you up right now? It's going to take probably about 15 seconds for you to hit the ground.
Okay.
Prior to that happening,
Have I slowed down enough that I?
prior to that happening, you do kind of start to get to a point where you're starting to accelerate slightly backwards.
Okay.
And you will start to continue to accelerate backwards as you continue to head down. So as you kind of move forward and they're moving this way, then you start to pull your acceleration backward, and you're probably about 5 seconds from the ground when you start to pull backwards and start to pick up speed.
Do I hit the ground?
No, it's
You're 5
that
seconds
backwards
from-
part. You probably should have said, "I stopped going backwards. I cancel all forward and backwards motion." That's
Well, I
what it
said I
was.
would turn it off after it was negated.
Okay, you can
So
give me a roll.
I thought this was a failing on my
No,
part.
you needed to restate that.
That is a pass by.
I think somebody might have said.
3.
I think he said.
No,
He mentioned something about Althea when you mentioned that. So I was.
pass by
Concentration.
That was distracting.
Pass by 6. Sorry,
All right, you can shut that off. Takes a few more seconds. You hit the ground.
and it should be about just a little stronger than normal G would have been whatever.
I'm assuming you
No,
cancel.
it would have been less.
I'm assuming you cancel your acceleration backwards, so you
Yeah.
kind of hit the ground. You brace yourself a little bit. It's fine. You're not hitting that fast. But currently, you have about 0.8 G pulling you up and 0.1 G pulling you down. So when you do push off with your legs, you do moon shoe a little bit.
I will shut it all
That's
off.
kinda cool.
That would be the
Experiment
That's cool.
successful.
super late.
No, keep that. Go for it. I mean, you're only
But the
20%
thing is,
of your weight, man.
You have a certain amount of like muscle memory, so you're like, oh shit, dodge the bullet off the car.
That's
You're already
my
past
theory.
the train, and now you're
but
heading
it's-
into a building.
but
I
it's-
saw the first 5 minutes.
But
of
we're out
John
here in the
Carter
we're out here in the field. We're out here in the field. This is a great practice time, right?
Pass by 3 to shut it all off.
Just like John Carter, he's trying to walk. Whoa!
It does seem to shut all down.
Okay. And I'll just walk back and be like, it works. Field
Theo looks
test
over at you like, I'm
successful,
not doing
literally.
that ever.
At some point in the future, you probably will. So you should never say that.
Stick with us. Everything will happen.
See what you could do with your magic.
I can't do that.
We'll let him perfect the process. But
By the way, we make
What
sure
he saw,
she's
he
got
was
a-
using gravity ripples.
Yeah, but he probably has some other stuff, right?
That was pure gravity.
It looks like he was just using gravity ripples.
Use the force.
Mind you, it looked at one point in time that he literally would have just flew off into the sky if he had not corrected himself.
With my luck, that would have happened to me, and then no one would have said nothing. That would have been it.
And it would be sad too because
Dead.
at a certain point you're like, well, he's gone.
I've realized that my little sphere of protection may need a little adjusting and tweaking, and I did put up the second shell because that would take more time, but
I'm proud of you that you're trying
Just
things.
all gravity ripples?
Impressive.
yep. Normal G bubble, mass bubble, directional bubble. And there's the second, like, deflect harm bubble, but using gravity, but I skipped that.
Alright. I continue walking.
From what you can tell, though, it might be a bit tricky, especially if you're going fairly quickly, because a heavy gravity field around you may change the airflow around you, and thus, like, you might be getting more tailwind rather than forward, and that would cause, even though you don't have any gravity affecting you to pull you around, that might literally start to make you spiral. As in, your legs are getting hit by 30-mile-an-hour wind because it's all getting pushed down, or...
I thought that was kind of what the second bubble was for, because it pushes gravity out around the mass thing. So that would cause anything coming in to kind of go out. But it also creates the problem of you have an air bubble.
But the thing is, it's only being affected by gravity while it's in that particular room.
Yeah.
So if it's coming in at, say, 30 miles per hour and it's a big chunk
and
of
it's
wind...
being decelerated for,
Yeah,
an
like,
inch out.
yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it's going to get through. I mean, it's going to change its direction. Some of it won't even make it to you, but
Yeah.
a lot of it's going to get through, depending on how quickly it's going.
What the heck is this? Do I have to grow a mustache?
Oh, there is a spell that deals with
There's
feline
two.
whiskers and sensing things. And yes, the focus of the spell requires either a very elaborate mustache or whiskers.
Well, it's a good thing that I already have, like,
Maybe
some
wax.
kind of shallow
No?
thing.
There's a penalty or bonus depending on the size and orientation of your mustache.
Is there a beard spell?
Were we eligible
No,
to
just,
buy any skills or
mustache
spending
or
points at the start?
whiskers.
I forgot to ask you.
I think you might have missed a session, so there's the back time of the weeks that you'd been sent. Like, I sent the email prior, and
Right.
you should have had time to spend that.
Yeah.
And if it was something you're working on, I may
didn't-
give it to you.
I didn't have experience at the point in time. I have it now. Basically, it's just the predict entropy. If I can.
I'll allow you to pick that
Okay.
appointment. Or was it? Do you want to put 2 points in, or 1 point, or what?
Well, I'd be going up to the third level, so it's 2 points.
2 points.
What is it?
Predict entropy.
I'll give you.
Oh, is that how you...
Now you can see colors.
I'd like to do the predict entropy on myself since I've been doing magic and we're not in shallow areas, just to see how nerfed my paradox is. So it'd be success by 7.
For the most part, you only get something come up like 1 out of 7 tries, which is not as low as it has ever been, but it's been pretty.
But it's been a lot higher before.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll check on him over there since he's starting to dick around.
I
and
never
stuff.
really screwed
Trevor?
anything up.
You don't have to screw things up, Grasshopper.
No, that's completely correct. You do not have to screw stuff up.
Everything you did there just might have impaired your soul. I agree with you. In the shrugging attitude.
Huh? I think I had
know what
Cthulhu
these
dice
do?
on
Do I
a
have to
perception
put in
roll,
to
and
show
that
what
was
they
it.
do?
Okay.
I asked
Success
you
by
to-
You'd have to
3 on
spend
him.
time
I
in
asked
your
you to-
dreams working with pudding to
Check
develop
these. My
these.
quintessence
I'll have
has
to
been
work alone
pushed out
then,
right now. Dark
because
fluid.
I
Be
just
interesting
got
to see how
removed.
that
You made it by 3 for
Each
Branton.
would explode.
Branton, you probably get 1 out of 10.
Okay, you're building up a little bit. I guess I'll try it on him, see what happens with dark.
Erickson?
Didn't
Dark
the mages at
energies.
the chantry say about, 10 to
By
15% was normal?
Do you have photographic memory?
Normal people don't have any, though.
He does. What'd they say?
There's
know.
mages always have a little bit that they build up. Around 10% is acceptable. It's kind of average. But normal people don't have any.
Yeah.
So, but even 10% can still bite you in the ass. So success by 7 on it.
For the most part, you get about 2 out of 5 attempts, and you built. What is it? It's the first time you've ever been. Received a static shock from one of the chicken bones.
I don't do it to
You can give me an occult roll.
No magic.
Are you kidding? I'm gonna embrace this!
I'm stepping away from him from now on. I don't know that I'm going to hang out with you
You don't want to suck his lack of
Cult.
quintessence?
by 2.
You're not quite sure what that means. I mean,
What was this business here, Professor? You're into the
A
cult.
cult?
you don't have the specific spell that he has, but you can give me an occult.
I'll explain it in terms of themology and stuff. Imagery.
And I will, I do have pharmacology.
In this instance, it's actually more occult. Because you know what he did. He is essentially trying to predict.
Can I do an alchemy or
Made it by
alchemy
7.
roll to see if I can predict the effect that would have?
What effect?
I got a call.
Absorbing dark matter.
dark fluid.
I'll try it on myself
Yeah, I
since
made like 7.
we're talking about it now.
You'd have to give me a hypertech roll.
Oh, I was just thinking from an
Peroxide
alchemical perspective, absorbing something like that. Because I threw the prime before.
You have no idea. You don't know. You'd have to get an understanding what the hell dark fluid
I don't know.
is.
I just don't want to be near me anymore. I'm pretty
I'm in occultism by 9.
By 9,
7.
7.
We discuss it back and forth.
There's no medieval or ancient equivalent to getting a static shock during the bone reading. If anything, you got to feel that it has something to do with the modernization of society and some sort of metaphysical property which the Order hasn't really quantified yet. You imagine that there might have a strong correlation to you coming into contact with a large quantity of dark fluid.
Well, yeah, but
You don't know what it means.
Yeah,
You have
well,
to do
then-
further
Maybe
research.
you'd be casting
Did they tell
magic
him what
using
dark fluid
paradox.
was?
All right, everybody just give him a safe boundary. Don't get too close to the guy.
oh,
Let's just
settle
keep going.
down.
Make
Just
sure I
don't
stay
draw
at least-
quintessence from me, and I will
I try to stay 10
not
feet away
tap
from
it
all
to
times.
cast spells, and we'll go.
It's difficult. You guys take cabs occasionally and other things of that nature, so you can try to, but as soon as you're talking, you might hear him like you're on the phone with Nathan Dweller, and he's like, "Hey, about this," and you're like, You're within my protective zone. Back away from me."
I might have to create my own little bubble and carry him in.
So
Gravity
you
bubble
can try to give
projected.
a region around him,
He thinks he's 3 feet away from us. in
but it may be
reality.
very hard to be diligent about that.
It might be.
Did they tell you what the black essence was?
The best they can describe it is as compressed space.
I
And
thought it
when
was-
I
Is that
when I
like venom
touched
from
it
Isn't the
though,
Spider-Man?
absence of compressed space is the stuff that leaks out when there is nothing?
When there is compressed space, it creates. It's not even really an energy. It's some sort of It's not energy or matter. It's a property of the universe in areas of compressed space, and he's picked up an unusual quantity given the matter he's made of.
There you go. So I just avoid that. Just respect it. We
don't
keep
worry,
walking
I'm
to the
going to
farmhouse.
research it. It's just that the world seemed to fall apart at the same time
We
it
all
happened.
want to
and-
research something, but it never happens.
It's not my fault. PCs
you
need
and
to
me
take more
Are
notes.
gonna
Magic
get into
rockets.
The magic, aren't we, Professor?
Yeah.
As we
Wait.
get back, we're going to sit down with
Professor,
somebody and learn.
counter-
You got,
to your
it
argument.
does seem as
Magic
though
rockets.
it does seem as though you guys are effectively helping each other. But from what you
We
understand and
don't
what
do-
you've seen, it's a little bit
We could be even
it's a little bit embarrassing. But you've literally seen kind of like teenagers doing sorts of stuff like this, and they seem to be working perfectly in concert with each other.
Yeah, if they can
Punch him
pay
in the face.
attention. What is
So
it?
you're Harry
Can
Potter,
we go
are
to
you?
the Dreamlands? Can he and I go to the Dreamlands and learn this quicker?
Maybe. I mean, you would have to try to bring him back to the
Can we just go get the
Dreamlands.
carrot person?
Yep.
We're walking,
I'm walking over here.
and we're walking.
I'm hoping
It takes
we
you
get a
probably
car.
about 20 minutes. You guys get to a main road heading into Stonehaven.
Was there a house nearby or nothing?
Probably farther back if you wanted to head
Oh,
into.
okay.
I'm assuming you're just trying to head into the city.
I just wanted to go to the nearest large structure, looks habitated.
There is a farmhouse, so that'll probably be the closest. Otherwise, there's a road and there's traffic heading along that road.
Okay, well, we'll go to the traffic.
Okay. Otherwise, you're probably about a quarter of a mile outside of town. You can see Stonehaven from here.
Okay. Can we stop a vehicle?
Yeah, for the most part, they seem to be fairly courteous. You're in a time period where you give them the thumb and they're willing to take you in.
I understand that
There's
this
a lot of people.
soon the forthcoming carjacking.
there'll be a
is not
truck that
for-
comes-
Why don't we see if we can just rent a cab first?
There'll be a truck that does stop for you, and he says that you'll have to kind of sit in the back, and he's got
That's for
a hay bale back there.
Give us a
But
lift into town.
yeah, he can give you a lift into town.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'll
We all
wait for
climb
all of you
back.
to get in. You guys climb into the back. I mean, it's kind of like a working man's back of a truck, so it's a little bit dirty, but you guys get back into Stonehaven fairly quickly. And from what you can see, this does look a little bit like, I wouldn't say a little bit, it looks a decent amount like the town that you had visited prior. It's just a little less developed.
More people,
Well, there's a lot more people.
He said less developed.
less developed. That's interesting.
Well, the houses, I should say, the structures. Mind you, you came to this place in like
10
10
years later. Okay.
10 years later. Well, not quite 10 years later, probably about 7 years later. But yeah,
When the guy gets close to town, I ask him if there's like cabs or something of that nature, if he could drop us off near a cab.
he can drop you off near the library, and that would you
Aren't there
can call
cabs
from there.
here?
He said there's cabs, just not every place has a phone. So
Okay,
he says
the
the main
library.
library or City Hall. City Hall is a little bit farther away. Library's in the,
Very
I'm
good.
never gonna use horse riding.
Well, maybe you should buy a horse and use it all the time because you can teleport your horse.
Yeah, you should.
You might be able to take
And
the
he could
horse
make your
through
horse
the
fly.
chantry.
Yeah, I'm sure the horse wouldn't freak out at all.
Oh, that's what That's why you got the blindfold on it.
What happened to Penelope? It looks like she had a heart attack.
Wait, why are you riding a horse while flying?
Why aren't you afraid?
Why not?
Wait,
Who would not be
now she's
afraid of
riding
a
the horse while flying?
some
while
sort of
flicking us off?
eccentric man flying a horse into battle?
It's a cat.
The cat, yeah.
With a
the-
cat
The
and a
opening move
lance.
is he stops and the horse
She
keeps
needs
going.
a
I
lance.
should get like a Valkyrie helmet.
Otherwise, it's
All
kind
right.
of a smaller library here. You can get contact the operator. Who did you want to call?
We're looking for the cab company. Do you have one that you'd recommend in town? We're at the library. There's 2.
They'll tell you there's probably one in a nearby city, a little bit south of here, maybe about 30 minutes for a cab to get here.
Okay, yeah. All right. Please, can you have us connected to someone?
Okay.
If you could ask them to make all do haste, we'll pay double.
All right. They'll contact you with the cab company. They're willing to come out here. They'll tell you that there is a charge for having them head out to Stonehaven.
Like I
There's
said,
nothing in the region.
30 minutes. If you can get here in 20, we'll pay you double.
They're willing to send somebody out.
Okay. See, it would have been easier.
So glad you're willing to pay.
I wasn't saying I was going to hurt the old man. Or the middle-aged man.
Otherwise, you guys are waiting at the library.
Does the library have anything interesting in it? We got 20
What
minutes.
skill do we need to know like local affairs or something, or do they have a newspaper here?
Can I,
It's a smaller library. You're not sure. You'd have to go in and have a look around.
can
Yeah.
I scan
I go
through
in,
the
I have a
books
look
and see
around.
if there's anything magical type-ish thing?
How are you scanning for magic?
How many people are in the library?
I'd probably say maybe 13 or so.
How big is the library?
It's 2 stories. The vast majority of the books are on the first story.
I will just blindly look for magic, like anything that has a title that looks striking, or
Or bound in human flesh.
yeah.
Okay.
Those.
If
You-
I see something
You
suspicious,
can give me
I'll cast
you can give me
tiny
a
butterfly.
scrounge roll.
I'm gonna look for a newspaper.
Okay.
Do I find it?
Yeah.
Okay, gonna read it, see if there's anything weird.
Give me a research, I suppose.
Pass by 9.
So far, a lot of things are fairly mundane here. There doesn't look to be anything unusual. There's a few odd objects, like what the hell is it? What appears to be a stuffed horse with a narwhal.
Yes.
Horn.
A unicorn?
Well, it says unicorn, but it doesn't look terribly real. Do you have a naturalist or?
No.
All right.
It
Yeah.
It looks real to you.
Yeah, maybe it is. It was donated by a local explorer. Was it Dr. Crispin?
Dr. Crispin?
He's a hack.
Oh, I made my research by 5.
Okay. Looking over it,
What are you looking at?
A newspaper. Because I don't have like the things for like local lore and
nothing terribly unusual that I can tell. I mean, there might be something in there farther back, but looking probably about 2 or 3 weeks back, nothing unusual.
okay.
Otherwise, by that time, the cab does arrive.
I look for maps of the park. That's what I go for.
You can find that here.
And I'll buy a copy or everything, so. Or memorize it.
You have photographic memory, so yeah.
I checked the trails I think we took and where things are located in the air region, primarily where I'm all, plus the neighboring regions. So.
Okay.
Would you like to fly there?
Go up to the cabbie.
And the
Alright.
quickest place the cab can get to. There, so.
What's the fee we owe you so far as for me coming out?
Coming up here, I'd probably say $5, and then he'll give you like a certain fee per
I'll
mile.
pay him 10.
He seems to be very happy. He's,
We need to. We've got a place we're going to. It's about 12 miles out of town. We'll continue to pay your fee. I'm going to give you $50 extra if you can just slide over to the passenger seat. Let me come behind the wheel. I'm not going to do anything that's going to be breaking the law or crashing it. I just prefer to drive.
you give you a diplomacy.
Okay.
Is there
And we
enough
just
room
lost
for
our
all
cab.
of us though in this cab?
Yeah, there is. I would say there's a
There's
kind of a
also-
larger
I
hand.
told him there
Handle.
was 5 people, for our
Yep.
party. So
They sent a station wagon.
They sent a truck. Same one we just got out of. Getting back.
So that's a failure by 4.
By 4?
Yeah.
He seems to be not quite sure, but the 50 definitely kind of changes his mind. It feels like he would have been a little bit better if you just kind of basically assured him, but he come off a little bit like, I'm not going to destroy anything, we're going to run over people or anything.
Yep.
You're gonna, he's like, now
Nothing like New York.
you're putting your things into his mind that he wasn't fully aware of. Originally, he kind of almost sealed the deal with the 50, but he'll slide over, but he's much more cautious than...
That's okay. This keeps my blood pressure down, I tell him.
All right.
Seatbelts.
He seems to kind of check the money and puts his seatbelt on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they actually have seatbelts.
No, they
don't.
didn't. Tucker was the first guy to put him in a production car, and that's not till the...
He kind of braces his feet up on the floorboard and then leans back in the seat.
We didn't have seatbelts in my car.
I opened the
I don't-
air scoop.
No, I don't think
It's
so.
good
It
air
wouldn't come with
flow.
that.
Then I
Otherwise,
need
you
to
can give me a
put
perception
some-
check.
What are these magical restraining devices?
I'll start taking us out to the place.
All right, it's not too far away.
By 4.
As you pass, what is it? As you pass into town, there is, I suppose you do have the photographic memory. So there is an odd, heavy German bike that's sitting out in front of the P.O. box, which looks oddly familiar.
That's that mailman I talked about. Bye.
Oh, okay.
What the hell have you? Otherwise, you guys continue to move up. It doesn't take you too long. You actually make pretty good time. Get through traffic. There's not really much traffic, but ultimately you're on the kind of edge of a small Scottish park. I shouldn't say small. It's probably several hundred acres, if not larger.
Oh, what does it mean?
Excuse me.
for him to be here?
I'd probably say it's probably close to about like 6,000 acres or more.
Okay. Tell him to keep the meter running. We're just going to go out and look around for a little bit, and we'd like him to be here when he comes back.
Yeah, he's fine with that.
How much? I give him $100 to say this will make sure that you sleep in the vehicle if we're not here by nightfall.
Oh, he says, yeah, sure.
Okay.
We have to be
Kind of
back.
runs some numbers in his head, and he's like, yeah.
Good, good.
When
He's
we
like,
get out of the
you're
car,
leaving-
I want to
you're
ask
leaving
Thomas,
double.
what does that mean? That guy's here.
Failed to realize
A
money's going to be
motorcycle.
about like this much shortly.
In my alternate timeline, which is about 7 or 8 years from here, we received packages from
We're doing this when
an
the
odd
taxi driver
mailman.
cannot hear
So
us.
can you take
Okay.
us here to the space, the place?
Yes, still walking.
I'm assuming you guys are walking right now.
Okay.
He
There's
rode
not
that
terribly
bike.
great trails, but it's a little bit back
I
in there.
believe he's a Fey, or actually he's half Fey, but I mean that's what they all are now. And I believe he's integrated himself into society to survive. So he's a mailman, and he rides that large German bike. That's what we saw.
So is he delivering special packages to one of the guys here? Or?
I suspect
works here.
he
Like
just
Elvis.
works here, and because when the white flowers came through, they didn't affect the Fae,
It's like
he
Elvis.
just kept working. And what was most weird is that he was delivering packages which had been sent significantly in different times, and delivering them to them with strange places like on top of the fallen down tree in front of 2637 Harper. And because we caught him sitting in a box on a tree, and he drives away, and we walk up, and it's addressed to us.
All right.
And
It probably takes you about an hour to just kind of move through the trails. I mean, you could try to take out machetes and kind of clear some foliage and other things of that nature,
during
but
this
you have a
hour-
rough idea where it is. It's just, if you had to get out quicker, you could. It's just whether or not you want to fatigue yourself getting back in there.
During this hour, can I ask, Hunter, how do you do that? How do you go faster in the car, but then when like someone else is driving and you're like complaining, then we go slower?
It's because you don't understand how distances and the relationship of space actually relates, and so my frustration is more the fact of the incompetencies that people behind the wheel
Then
have.
how do you
I'm not actively slowing you down by being angry, if that's what you're trying to
That's what I
allude to.
think.
No. My anger is just merely a representation of the fact that people don't know what they're doing.
See, he told me earlier he had no idea what was causing this, so
No.
I wouldn't believe a word he's saying about this.
My theory is it has something to do with cold space.
But then you cause us to go slower when you're not in control.
No, I haven't caused you to go. You arrived in your normal incompetent time frame.
No.
Yes.
I'm a very good
Before we
driver.
left the taxi driver,
Being a
can
good
I
driver
make
has
a
nothing to
primal
know about
conduit
the
roll
directions
to
out of
sap
your
one
places.
quintessence off of
Oh
him?
yeah, if it's like fairly simple.
You can try to. You're not
You're still
sure.
limited to silly, three-dimensional
Normal folk don't have as
space,
much.
relationships.
Okay.
If I feel that it's not all he has.
It's not your fault.
Well, the only way to tell would be a primal
I
flare
remind
or something
myself
like
that, I still consider you a friend.
You
Primal-
can't tell. I'm taking
It's
his
just that's
pattern.
one area that really bothers me.
Oh, there's many areas. So,
You can tell when you're starting to do it, and if you're already starting to do it, you're already killing him.
Okay, well, we'll hope that doesn't happen.
All right. So this is prior. You guys can give me observation checks.
So, pass by 1.
All right. And is that an incantation? What is it? I'll double check.
It is
6.
gesture. And I have the acting and everything else, so I can do my gestures very subtly.
I think this one's an invocation, actually. So it's a mild chant, and then you have something prepared.
5, 6.
I
So,
already did
verbal?
Yep, but you just said you don't necessarily have to scream it into his ear.
Yeah.
So what do you roll?
I rolled pass by 1.
Okay. You can ultimately grab one from the individual.
Okay.
You guys can see that. You got what is it? As you guys are getting ready and kind of talking about the terrain, what is it? Branton is behind, and you can kind of recognize some of the words he's saying as he's kind of like talking to the cabbie. And the cabbie kind of just looks at him weirdly, but he can tell that he most likely has just cast primal conduit.
Okay. On the cabbie?
Most likely,
Okay.
unless it's from the car.
And I'll walk up and be like, you shouldn't take any more from him.
I haven't bothered taking any from him, so.
Well, that was our game plan, so.
Yeah. He was exactly right, so he's probably going to be dead tomorrow. I don't say that within his earshot. I can hopefully
Alright.
remember that much, but.
Alright.
Otherwise, you guys continue on for that
Is
hour.
there any fast talk rules, or is that what he actually believes?
What?
That he's not making us go slow. We're just incompetent.
You can believe whatever you want to believe. What he says.
He's doing this.
You can give me a. I suppose I can roll your body language if you think that he's being deceptive
I
to
only
you.
have cat body language. Can I do psychology?
Can I do a body language? Because
I can. Do
I have a
body language
16.
for you guys. Yeah, I have your character sheet.
I have a sword. I make a path.
Okay.
I haven't had time to
you've been
fully
carrying a
research
sword
the
around
subject
with
yet.
you?
I spent quintessence and a pint of blood.
It's quite a bit of a different matter doing that. You guys don't have necessarily firearms visible on you, do you?
No. I'm carrying my
Not
map
until we.
piece, but.
All right.
Yeah.
Then otherwise, in the 1920s and early 30s, it's a fair different process of like, oh, there's a guy with a sword on the plane,
Right.
something like that. It's
No, I have my folding cloth thing. I
Yeah,
have
we
a
get in.
wand.
We get in a little ways out of sight, and
Wand
out
is
come the
long.
cloths, and out come the armor, and
Gertie
with
comes up.
psychology, he
Tesla.
seems to generally believe that. You don't think he's being deceptive. And the same thing with your body language. He doesn't seem to be deceptive. All right. The only thing that is surprising is ultimately there's a small waterfall past here, and it's off the beaten trail, probably about 10-15 minutes, just kind of going over rocky terrain. But you're surprised because nothing looks like it's been changed here. It was kind of pristine to begin with originally, and it's fairly still pristine. It looks exactly like it was prior. I mean, assuming this doesn't get touched for the next 7 years, it looks identical. Slightly different seasons, slightly different colors, but yeah, there it is.
alright, so that should be easy to follow then.
Heading up into the region, you guys can give me a small, a dex roll. Just looking for anyone that has bad dex.
Pass by 5.
I already did on.
6. Success by 6.
By 1.
That's completely fine. You guys go over a little bit of treacherous terrain, something that could, like, theoretically sprain someone's ankle if you're trying to rush through here, but you guys take your time. Ultimately, there is kind of a smaller grove, not too far off from here, near, was it on the other side of the waterfall, and it kind of looks a little bit like a bear's den, and there is kind of vegetation going over the top of it. And if you're out here hiking, you're probably like, I don't want to go in there. What if there's like a fucking badger or something in there?
But since it's us, we're like, we need to investigate.
We hope it's a badger.
Yeah.
That could be the best possible outcome.
Otherwise, it doesn't look like it's ultimately been tampered with from what you can see. You guys can give me tracking.
Is Althea okay? Like,
Althea's
she's not,
fine.
like, dressed like you, like in high heels and stuff, right?
You will see that she's kind of been eyeballing Branton ever since that gravity crap at the cornfield, and she always seems to be near like an object she can grab onto. So you kind of see that she occasionally looks off into the sky and kind of is leaning on a tree branch as though she might just fall suddenly into the sky.
I make my tracking straight up.
Straight up.
4.
12. You guys don't see anything. Everything looks pristine here. There are some faint tracks that maybe one or two individuals over the course of like the last few years may have gone into the cave. You don't know if they've ever made it out of the cave.
Okay.
But there's been occasional traffic here.
Occasional traffic in, no traffic out.
That would kind of do it. I described it. The entrance leads to this room where this secondary seal was put in place.
Were there any defenses that you automated?
Can we
defenses?
get
No,
out?
there was nothing at that time, but the Yith was also gone by that time.
So they're technically hibernating at this point, and they were active and had left in your time.
Can we get out once we're in?
There's something
We'll
about
find out.
the Yith we need to know to help us with any sort of fright checks. Like what they look like.
I imagine having
Upside
all of
down
your will
carrot.
would be a big assistance there.
Carrot with the stem growing out of the wrong hand.
So,
Even if he like told us, maybe it'll.
can we
give
just
us,
assume
like,
they're
one
hostile to
bonus.
the gate and shoot first? Or do we
yeah,
need to try
because
to-
the individual we're looking for is most likely still in stasis. He is 170,000,
he's
200,000
he's not a Yith. He's the one of the new
He's
humans.
he's the only survivor that I know of have ever
Right.
occurred who will know the Mew language.
But I'm asking if we come across a Yith in here,
Kill
do,
him.
do we
And-
stop the
and-
talkers? Is it kill it as
Yeah,
quick
but
as you
what
can?
does he
I don't know
look
because
like?
nobody knows anything about Yith.
Okay, so just kill him.
What do they speak?
Nobody's even seen him in the previous time frame. They've been gone for a very long period.
They have hypertech. I learned most of my hypertech from what's written on the walls inside here.
Okay.
And some of it was used in the construction of
And you
the
don't
frames in
know
the future.
What a Yith looks like?
He told us
They-
kind of a cone with a neck head thing.
With a yeah, literally they're kind of
It's a carrot with a
odd
stem on the
looking
wrong
because
end.
it's I'm not saying that's best because they can kind of look like a bit like anything, but consider it to be a cone, like 6 feet tall cone. That and then from that comes a stem, probably possibly 5-6 feet maybe more long. There's a head on that, and then arms come out somehow.
Okay. So I don't want to expect like a talking sandwich and it's a Yeti. That might screw us up.
Although he said they can assume any shape, so.
Oh. So, kill everything. Bears.
Yep.
Hunter, I just saw Hunter a moment ago. Wait a minute.
Let's not kill each other.
Wait a minute, I can test it. Primal con. Yep, that's Hunter. I just took his pattern.
All right. So moving farther in, for the most part, I mean, this does kind of feel like a bear cave. There's no tracks of any kind of bear in here. There's occasionally small animals, maybe badgers, something like that. Of course, there's no bears in Scotland that I'm aware of. I don't think there's.
So maybe we need to activate your whisper ear thing. Now would be a good time probably for primal flares, Althea. I'm assuming you've got some means of detecting wards and things of that nature. Maybe we want to detect them before we trip them.
It says here what she's got.
Well, I know what she has.
Yeah.
So you don't have to make rolls for Althea.
I just talked to
Can
her.
I kind of ready, like... Are we sticking kind of close together?
Somewhat close. I'm trying to stay 10 feet away from him. But
Yeah.
other than that,
I'm going to kind of ready, like, a little gravity bubble
There's a
around us.
medium-sized antechamber here. You probably say about
No, we're on
12
the ground,
feet
aren't
to
we?
15 feet. Not right now. You're just kind of in a small cave heading off from a lake. Not a lake, but a small stream that feeds a small waterfall.
But we're in something.
This does look like it goes down further into the cave.
Wind of outer walls by 5.
Okay. And also, what light sources do you guys have? Because right now you can kind of see.
Yeah, I would have pulled those out before we got in here.
I
But,
have my,
Then you have a little bit of tunnel vision with your flashlights right now.
Yeah.
I have my gauntlet. I mean, unless you guys want me to like do create light or something, I can do that.
I don't think we need to do magic just for so you do magic. We can use our flashlights.
All right.
We'll wait until the weave is totally.
So with your winds of the outer well,
Found a
I have
carrot
some
head.
carbide lamps. I like enough for like
Imposter.
everybody.
What are you talking about?
You don't want to use magic for a random purpose?
that does seem
For the
oddly
sake
suspicious, especially when it'd make
Magic?
things slightly easier.
And it would
I
give you
can't a
experience.
person have learned their lesson.
No.
I have been.
You're the
using
one who just
restraint
cast
in the
fairy
past.
fire and burnt our feet instead of using
If
chalk.
this was the old hunter, I would have just not even
I
bothered with
only-
the taxi. It would have teleported us here.
I only
In fairness,
saw,
he's right. You did not just want to use chalk.
I
It
only
would have took
saw-
like 5 minutes more, and you're like, fuck it, no. Illusionary magic. Poof.
That's because the world's in peril
I
here, but
only
we don't
seen
need
them-
that to turn on a flashlight.
I only seen him exercise restraint when Barton suggested something. He's like, "No, Barton, bad."
He's got to be the role model here. With your winds of the outer well, it's oddly quiet. I suppose the winds of the outer well always kind of have like your kind of a wind. What is it? The noise around you, the spiritual disturbances. Often you would say kind of like a left area, and it'd be hard until you start going in that region. But there's an oddly kind of just dead silence, like
And
nothing.
Then that usually means that it's not on another.
And Althea Montrose will tell you that there's, what is it? She thinks that there's a area probably about a half a mile from here that's slightly higher than normal, but the area immediately next to her, and she's using a detect prime, which is more long range, and she has less detail. She says wherever the hell you are right now, there's a definitive lack of primal energies.
Okay. What would you infer from that? Do all of us going to make like a thaumaturgy roll or
Mythology.
cult or?
What did I learn about it last time was that it doesn't exist on the spiritual plane.
Something like that. Or
Yeah,
there's very
I'll
little.
tell them that. Because we've been
8.
at one of these
10.
places before where it didn't exist, like it was
10?
destroyed
10.
on another plane.
2. Alright, well,
What, the mythology?
yep.
Pretty much got it covered.
Give my 5.
For the most part, with a 5, you can tell that this probably doesn't exist. There might not be an equivalent in the penumbra, meaning that there's no. It just doesn't exist for whatever reason.
Or it could have been
Or there's an
destroyed.
extremely strong barrier here to other dimensions, meaning it's the opposite of a shallow. With an 8 and 9, this there
10.
could, what was it, an 8 and 10. It could be that there's something here, like a ward would show up like that. A very powerful spiritual ward would stop. Would look like nothing because it's like Teflon.
Could it be like what we did to the Star Spawn?
It could be something like that.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're aware of what the hell is it, like the Serpent Temple? I'm not sure. I don't think you were there for that one specifically. But you're aware that there are certain places in certain man-made or strangely constructed regions that seem to what the hell have you? That seem to be not. They're sterile in their penumbra equivalent. They were built in a manner using advanced technologies, or they scorched whatever spiritual plane that was existing around it.
Does anybody fired off primal flare?
The warding would be
Primal
consistent with what I believe was here before
Nope.
Chester Crispin got here.
It could have been.
Do I know a time that
Don't
Chester
give up.
Crispin got here? A year?
What is it? Chester Crispin got here somewhere. What was it? Somewhere about right now. Somewhere like 1914, I want to say.
So we saw the wards that had been cracked that we believe for
Were
most,
broken from like an earthquake or
Yeah,
maybe
and
something in
that-
the region.
and
That was
so-
broke probably about 3 or 4 years, so 1930s, something like that.
Yeah, so then
Chester
that's,
Crispin was here prior to that.
and he sealed something in. Well, actually, Varus sealed something in.
From what you got the looks of the notes, I mean, Dr. Crispin, he's not actually a doctor of anything. He talks a big game, he talks about all these otherworldly, but it seems like a lot of times he has contacts to individuals that seem to have far more understanding or education. However, for whatever reason, he seems to almost
get the
unreal.
credit?
Well, credit, he talks a lot of games, so that's not unusual. What's odd is he somehow always finds himself inappropriately at those regions. Kind of like the Zap Brannigan of Indiana Jones's.
Yeah.
He's somehow always kind of involved and somehow gets out of there unscathed, but he doesn't seem to have any skills from what you can tell, but you've never met the man.
I tell you, I
Failed the primal
never
flare by
spoke with Dr. Varus about
goes off.
this.
1. Next one.
But in 1914, him and Chester
That
Crispin
is
came
the-
here and somehow encountered it and sealed
Passed
it in.
by 3.
Now, Crispin got all
It
the
very
but
dimly
I
illuminates
didn't
the
know
region,
Varus
and
at
then it
that
kind of
time.
dies out.
my information said
Doesn't
he
look like
was the
anything's
occultist.
really here.
Well, now I know Dr. Varus, and yes, he's an
Your
occultist.
turn.
So he
Can't
did
do
it.
Oh, I did it, but it went out
He did
quick.
it. It just didn't illuminate anything very well, and then it just kind of petered out
That
after.
was a pass by 3.
So if there's a ward here, can sound travel across it?
Yeah. It depends on what the nature of the ward is. I mean, if it's just spiritual energies, then it's just spiritual energies.
Now,
You hit off a ward, and you don't think that he messed it up. There's just really nothing for it to bounce off of here.
Okay.
It's really low.
I think that it's purposely shielded, inverted, or whatever they did, so that nothing picks up. So
You just like the
I
word
had-
invert, huh?
I'll speak. I'll speak across the ward in
I'm not the one that has
our
a fixation.
Acro,
with it, apparently.
the snake one.
And Althea says this area, but you get a definitive feeling that wherever the hell this is, it's farther back into like in the left-hand corner of the cave, heading deeper
I'll
underground.
share that with everyone.
Okay, I'll go around and kind of look around.
You guys can give me a scrounge.
Pass by 7.
By 3.
6.
Anyone else?
I made search by 4.
Okay, you can default from search. With a 6, ultimately, as you guys spend probably about 20 minutes kind of looking around with your flashlights. You made a 7? Okay, excuse me. Between the two of you, as you're searching around with your flashlights, you both come across what appears to be kind of a smooth wall that doesn't seem to be indicative of a cave structure around you, and it's probably about 55, 65 feet in. You are kind of below the area that the stream would be in, so there might be like an issue with water if you start digging around.
Okay.
It is fairly moist here. There are a lot of root structures. None of the roots seem to pass into this wall.
No, is this the route I
Floor?
took to find that room with all
You
the
remember that there was a wall here that wasn't a wall, and you were able to pass through it.
That's right.
So run
It
full
was
force then.
either illusionary or
I like
just
your
a
thinking, Professor.
image.
That'll be a
After
good
you.
thing for
When
Thomas
people
to
had
do.
come in later to check it
You
on,
can go
there was a
first, you know
physical
where the
wall there,
location
but for whatever
Yeah.
reason,
He's been here before. Right?
Yeah.
people are able to will it away. It's not illusionary from what they can tell. At least that's what you remember in the future.
That's what I described to you. There's a doorway here that, by will, can be made insubstantial,
Okay.
and you can pass through it.
Okay.
But you have to successfully will it for yourself.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I am about 10 feet away from you, and I go like that.
I'll step forward. Got my Tesla in one hand.
You've been
Yeah.
carrying around a Tesla?
I got a strap over my shoulder. What do you think?
You've got one too.
Where were you hiding it?
No, with me, I didn't repair my
Yeah,
magic.
remember
I had it
Yeah,
in
that's
the,
what
the,
I never
the
repaired
bag,
my
so
Oh,
I pulled it out as we
I'll
just
carry it
before we
for
got
you
into the
then.
cave.
So do you want it?
Sure.
You'd have to give me a small armory's. Was it armory small arms? You wouldn't be able to get the full length of that rifle in that tablecloth.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay with my rocket.
Yeah.
If you remember, certain things have to be within a certain diameter.
I know it needs to
So
be
like a
inside.
bowling ball will totally go in. But I think I said somewhere around like when you end up halving it, about 3 feet
Okay.
is the longest
I
dimension.
assumed it could be broken down, but if it can't be broken down,
It can be broken down, but that's what an armory small arms is for.
okay.
I wanted mine in the box that the army gave it to me in. So
Okay, they'll just be a long attaché case. And once again, it looks a little bit weird, but nobody's going to stop you, especially in the time period.
Small arms by
So you're saying
8.
you could have been carrying this around?
Ultimately, you pull out the two pieces in 2 sections. It is a long rifle, so you can spend some time. It's a little bit dirty here. It is a prototype, but luckily you have hypertech experience, and you swear that you've seen a more updated, rugged model of this at some point in time. I mean, there's kind of like connectors and odd things where you're kind of looking like, oh, you're going to burn your hand on that. And you're like, I vaguely remember a version that people burnt their hands on. You might be looking at a precursor to something that is used in that other timeline. But otherwise, you can't put it back together.
I'm just sticking with the rocket pistol.
All right, and then I will
walk through the wall.
take a moment and try to will through my way through the wall.
You can give me a will roll.
FYI, my rocket pistol is loaded. 2 normal, 1 life force, 2 normal, 1 life force.
Okay.
By 3.
Ultimately, as you put your hand next to the wall, it seems to pass through.
And I step through.
On the other side, do you have a flashlight?
Yes, I have a carbide light and a flashlight.
Okay, which one are you using with the gun?
I got the carbide light like tied to my knee,
Okay,
so I have my hands free.
all right. Roughly looking the area, I mean, it doesn't show you the exact illumination of where you're walking, but this looks exactly like it was prior. The only thing is, a little bit farther in, there was architectural damage to the structure. But you haven't gotten that far in. You're just on the other side of the wall.
I will.
You guys see
He just
him.
disappears.
He doesn't disappear. He walks through the wall
Just
as
kinda
though it's
melds
kind of not
into it.
there, and it just.
It absorbs around, right? So it still looks like the wall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does
However, like
Althea-
going up and touching it, it's still a wall.
Does Althea have any kind of weapons? Just
Althea says
imagine.
that she knows. What the hell is it? Primal Blast. And, what the hell is Deflect Harm? Otherwise, she does have a small dagger on her that's enchanted.
Does she know how to use firearms?
Huh?
Do you know how to use pistols?
She does.
Right. Give her a rocket pistol.
She'll kind of give you a look like, well, I'm assuming this fires like a normal pistol?
It does.
She says, then, yeah, I should be good. I've never fired
Yep.
this course, but...
Give her a holster for it.
Okay. She
Yeah,
probably
just-
takes probably about 5 minutes, puts it on.
Just as
Basically, I take
backup.
off one of my under the arm holsters.
Okay, then she puts it on quicker.
Yeah, just-
Okay.
She seems to draw it a couple times from the holster, but otherwise, yeah.
I don't think it has much of a kick. I tell her it doesn't have much of a kick. She should be fine on the strength. Tell her that it does have a higher chance of ricochets, because the rocket propellant will keep propelling the rocket. So
So we should...
just be aware of it.
Oh, all right. She seems to be a bit apprehensive about that, but there you go.
Well, I do have one of those regular M1911 pistols.
1911.
19 on the,
Yeah,
Just Colt 45.
that's better.
No, she said she's fine with this. Just she's...
That's fairly an effective suicide gun.
Well, for people that
Just
have,
'cause you
like,
could live
normal
through
bu-
that.
Yeah.
No. See, you don't understand the new way of doing things. Gun, strong gravity field.
There you go.
I just
And
put
somebody
in-
clips by him and ragdolls their arm.
It was also,
But other than that,
Put in
Yeah.
one that continued to
it was
be
also
carried,
mentioned
or just put in
for
one to walk.
if we were shooting at something big, like a large group of us, put a gravity field around them that pulls bullets into them.
I just put in one to walk.
I will just warn you that some of you are aware, was it with thaumatology, he's talking about strong gravity fields. He is in control of those, and if he made a strong gravity field in front of
You'd be
him,
sucked
and
in.
one of you or he gets inadvertently knocked into the field, he could literally, like, rupture an artery.
Yep.
It's like, oh, it looks like gravity pulls everything down. Looks like your sinews weren't really meant to hold down a 500-pound heart.
Just put
it's
in
just
one
like the propeller in an airplane. Just stay away from the front.
Yep, okay. Just
I-
making you aware.
I want to ask put in if she wants to walk or still be carried.
She'd like to still be carried in this instance.
Just in case sometimes she wants to get
Cat
out
gun.
and do stuff.
She's got the caboose. She doesn't have to do
Yep,
it.
she has a carrying.
The cat?
She has a carrying papoose. Is just a pouch on the front.
Because
She carries the cat.
She, he,
He.
he.
Yep.
Just
The
the sake of
professor
ridiculousness.
has a
The cat
female
just kinda
cat.
hangs there, right?
Yep.
I have trouble calling the professor he because I look at Jolene and go she.
Yep.
Without regard.
So far,
I try to walk through.
give me a will roll.
Very girly man.
Fortunately, I'm still at reduced.
Just because I have a cat.
It's going to be
Not an
7,
invert.
so I do by
No,
5.
we're calling you girly because
You seem
of the lack of
you
bullets.
feel something there, but you walk through it as though it's kind of just a thick fog.
Okay.
On the other side, you see light immediately. What the hell is it? You see Thomas above you, kind of look around.
Okay.
Wait, did you just go through the wall?
Yeah, I just stuck through it.
I advance because I expect people to come
The
in
distance
behind
is in the. It's enough to move around in, and you'd say it's like what the hell is it? The fire channel above you would have applied penalties to bulk of weapons, but these interior chambers are meant for. They're drastically wider. They're close to about 15 feet high. You'd probably say almost 8 feet in diameter. It looks like the wall is actually pretty large, but the area leading up to it must have collapsed at some point in time, or just kind of just sludged around. But the interior chambers are quite a bit larger, so you won't have any issues unless all of you guys kind of stand shoulder to shoulder.
How do you whisper to you?
I'll let Althea go through first because if I
Step
fail, I
forward
don't
some
want
more.
her to see me.
She seems
I'll
to.
go ladies first.
She initially kind of touches it and is having some difficulty with it, but eventually she gets it to go. And
Okay, then I'll go. Well, I gotta make that
Will roll?
Does she get a whammy too?
I'm not using Cthulhu dice for her.
Oh, okay.
3 by 3.
What have you. You move through the wall, as I described before. It seems like a sensation like moving through a thick wall of fog, and then you're on the other side.
Okay.
As people come through, I'll kind of position them around the corner so we're not all just getting bunched up in the choke points.
So what are we doing to get through the wall? Just will roll?
We'll roll.
Pass by 6.
Okay. As I said before, you're going to move into the structure.
And I will take out a knife and draw like a little X right in front of where I came from, seeing that the wall's bigger on the inside, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Am I able to inscribe an X into this floor material?
Alright. Up in front of you, there does seem to be a larger channel inside here. You're still looking at kind of rough-hewn rock. The wall behind you doesn't seem to necessarily connect to the chamber that you're in right now. It seems to go through the floor and the material. However, there is a further structure in that you can see that does appear to be made out of the same material, but there's an open archway leading into it. The area here is kind of roughly hewn, and it does look like it was maybe carved or channeled out later on at some point in time. But anyone have like a geology, mining engineering?
Gosh, geology. No. I got archaeology, architecture, anthropology.
Nothing terribly
Yeah,
unusual.
horsemanship. And horsemanship.
You guys can continue in if you want. You can give me an observation roll.
Before we go on anything, primal flare. Observation. 12.
Pass by 10.
Okay.
If it's visual,
yes.
11.
I'm getting bad rolls then.
Or
I'm gonna
hearing.
make by 3.
No, 10 is actually a bit ridiculous. But 2.
By 9?
That's your observation or your primal flare?
Observation. I can throw a primal flare.
I thought you said that you wanted the primal flare.
I do. So I can take the
And
12
we're all
roll
going
for
to
the
observe
primal
it
flare.
very keenly.
That'll be by 4 then on the primal flare.
Okay. Well, the observation was first. It's a new run with the primal flare. However, 10,
9.
9. Julian for your observation.
By
By 3. For the most part, you guys don't see anything. You two do see that there is carving on the floor in front of you prior to reaching the structure.
Mythos roll to see what it is? Or...
Taking a look, you can kind of kneel down by it.
Oh, shit.
Here's the man.
Ooh,
You
yes.
give me a...
Well,
have you?
the primal flare is going up first, so...
4 on the primal flare.
You take a quick look around with your primal flare, because it's kind of omnidirectional. You look around. The wall behind you doesn't seem to register at all. And strangely enough, right where kind of Branton is walking to, that doesn't register at all either.
I will not walk on that floor.
It's not the floor. You
don't.
can't see anything beyond that certain region.
Okay.
I like the button
Oh,
shirt.
sorry.
Pretty snazzy.
Magically, Jeb
Who was
appears
it,
next to us.
My coworker,
Okay.
massive heart attack,
Oh, really?
talking on the phone.
Wow.
Completely.
So where we are right now is the PC spent a little bit of time in London. They picked up equipment. They talked to some folk. They teleported to a city near Stonehaven, which they believed was close to this Yith site that Thomas remembered from the future.
That could have Lala.
Huh?
Gala.
Lana.
Lana?
He wasn't sure for certain, but it is a Yith site.
That's our belief. That's why we're going there.
Checking it out.
However, the PCs had continued into the past Stonehaven into the region of the park here. Spent some time, found what looked to be kind of like a bear cave, but there's no bears in Scotland. And as they continued down, they found essentially a wall which everyone had to pass through that seemed to be material and immaterial at the same time, depending on your will.
Gotcha.
After moving through that region, Dr. Althea Montrose is with you guys, was requested, and you guys are here right now.
She's our ward expert. So basically, as everybody came through, just kind of spread out a little bit so we weren't in the choke point. Threw a
No
primal
one's
flare
there.
in
He
hand.
threw a primal flare up. The wall was it behind you that you had to pass through using your mind, and that's what Thomas told you, and everyone moved through that. That doesn't register at all with primal flare. Neither does anything past the writing that Branton was getting up to.
Okay, so we see some magical writings on the floor.
It looks like carvings, but that a lot of times, I mean, the real shit is often indistinguishable from random carvings on the wall.
put the ward experts up.
Dr. Althea Montrose will take a look at it. She doesn't really know anything about the wall. There doesn't seem to be anything on it.
Not
She
the
says,
wall, the writing.
but she's commenting on the wall behind. She says it might be made of some sort of material that blocks spiritual passage.
Sure.
She doesn't know for certain. She'd have to take a sample, but that's not necessarily her expertise. And she'll start to look at the ward here.
Do you think you could even take a sample?
She kind of shrugs her shoulders.
All right, I don't even know how you break a piece off, so I was just curious if you had a thought.
She's not sure.
Okay.
There's none.
Huh? Oh, yeah. So, you'd spent some time sleeping, and then there's essentially Scarlet is willing to accelerate some of the things you're learning. However, she does warn you on some of the stuff.
Gotcha.
Branton almost threw himself in the sky by reversing, gravity rippling himself. He started to speed up, accelerating skyward into...
But then controlled himself.
Yeah, he
I mean, it's not that she
He reoriented
he was
himself.
experimenting, and he did it.
He started to drop back
Admirably.
down. He had slight forward acceleration and realized he was going to hit the road, coming back down to the ground, going about 40 miles an hour. He reversed his acceleration, flew around a little bit. It looked haphazard. It looked kind of like he was a little bit free-falling in some instances, and while he was starting to pick up acceleration, his clothing was kind of loose and baggy, and it was picking up air resistance, so a pocket was kind of slowing him down like a parachute in some regions. So Althea Montrose, ever since seeing that, teleporting into the cornfield, has been always near an object to grab onto, as though she's slightly worried about falling into the sky after the PCs had mentioned that might happen at some point. So, there you go. Otherwise, Althea will tell you that it looks fairly new to be a ward. She says it can't be more than, she wants to say, a decade old. It looks like somebody carved this... She says she doesn't know how somebody carved this in, because it literally looks like it was... she says almost like somebody used like a water-cutting industrial tool. She says that there is wards a little bit farther on that are past this one ward that do look to be fairly old, but you can't see them from here.
Can you disarm this one? Or can I
She's trying to figure out what it is, first of all. I mean, she said it might be nothing. It might be a spiritual ward.
Can
Professor?
I see it? Is it, any language that I know?
You can give me a symbol drawing.
Is that all it is to figure out words? A symbol drawing?
Althea's using an expert skill. I would allow a default for symbol drawing.
What's her expert skill?
Her expert skill is specifically on wards.
Oh, okay.
I really don't have any experience with this.
Quite
So I'm not gonna...
13.
And anything, it's an IQ-based
And
symbol drawing.
13! What the hell is up with these 9s, 10s, and 13s? And I'm like, 4, 2...
Well, out of
Roll
all
better.
of us, it's bound to happen.
So your symbol drawing was what?
13.
13?
You're in
Mine
charge
was straight
of
up.
Building your character, right?
Straight up?
Yeah.
From what you guys can
You got
tell,
good skills.
and you can,
It's just,
what is it, correlate
you
with
got
Althea.
17s and 16s.
I'll scoot down and give you a little bit more room
No,
here.
I just know it's
They're,
supposed to be.
they're rolling very well.
I made like 4.
Okay.
I have deep 1 in Latin.
It doesn't seem to be either of those.
I have
Taking a
Canadian
look at
in
this,
background.
it seems to be... You would say with your expertise, Althea says that she doesn't know how it was carved in. It looked like somebody used a water cutting tool. However, this looks like it was disintegrated. Not necessarily, it's too fine and too elaborate to be like a muse sigil would take out this entire section. But definitely something like magic was used to cut or at least deconstruct the stone into probably sand or something similar, and it was just kind of blown out. She would say it does seem to be a spiritual ward, which you can confirm. It seems to be pointed inward, and it seems to be fairly strong. You have photographic memory, and it does seem as though this... No, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to him. It does seem to be reminiscent of crawling sigils, and you've only seen one person using those.
And I tell you, Chester Fritz was with an occultist, Dr. Varus. And he's the one who
At
actually
the
did
time,
the sigils.
it was, what is it, I want to say
14?
1914? He wasn't a supposedly doctor at that point in time.
He was an occultist, Varus. I am assuming that the two are too closely related. I've never asked Dr. Varus if he was the man, but I'm assuming so.
Otherwise, it looks like it obviously, since it used magic, either they were not worried about the consequences of magic, which Hunter often does, or they were trying to build it in haste. Given from where it's looking, it could have been built at a different region a lot easier. So you might think that somebody did this in haste.
What's you guys done? It was done quickly.
Alethea Montrose says it looks like there's stronger wards back there. They look medieval, but without passing this one, she doesn't think that there's an issue passing this one. At least she says that it might actually cut off your power investitures, moving beyond this point.
Is it going to be a problem coming back?
She doesn't think so because the cats technically aren't of another dimension, even though their power comes from otherworldly sources.
So it just cuts the power, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The cats would still have their power, but their total power investiture source would be cut off.
They can't tap the wall.
Yeah.
All right.
I
So
can't tap them, so I
you
just
guys-
have to go by what I got.
Game forward.
Let's go.
All right.
Do the cats have any objection of going any further?
Let's just have one person cross over to see what happens, and then go through.
I'll take a step.
All right.
Scarlet doesn't like the feel of, not necessarily this ward, but just
Just
What
this
we're
area.
doing.
why. Like, why. She doesn't like why this ward's here.
Okay. The purpose.
Nobody likes it.
All right.
He's whispering.
I'll let Scarlet know that I'm going forward.
Okay.
All right.
So far, I mean, you walk through, nothing
Alright.
happens.
All right.
Go.
We all kind of move through.
Okay.
Up
Nothing
to the
happens.
next ward, I guess, and found additional wards.
Immediately passing beyond the ward, there is a light coming, or was it? Do you have that knife on your like your hip? There's a strong light coming from your hip belt as soon as you pass that.
Okay. Spirit. Lots of spirits right here.
Okay. Primal flares, people. Or primal blasts, I mean.
Moving further into the
Alright, guys,
structure.
bearings are up.
Moving further into the structure, you're now coming across this weird stonework that you'd come across before, and you're not sure where this stonework connects to the previous stonework. It might be buried under miscellaneous kind of rock and rubble here, but this kind of hewn stuff seems to be fairly old. That material, it seems to be the same type of material. It seems to go inward and then immediately spirals off in a T-junction. Prior to that, Althea does spend some time kind of looking at a ward. It looks like at some point in time, there was a crack in this ward, and she places it somewhere probably around maybe 900 AD to maybe 1200 AD, when the original ward was put up. She says that it does have, I suppose, Viking overtures.
I want to let everyone know that if we're dealing with spirits, I do have Word of Unseen. If we want to take time to get
Are
more
spirits considered a form of life or detect life?
Some spirits will show up as a form of life.
And I'll scan with one eye occasionally.
Okay.
One eye closed.
You'll have to give. Do you have the permanent version of that, or?
Yeah, I got the tattoos on my eyelids.
Okay.
I have the little lead eye caps that I sleep with, so.
Then let me go back and say that he came out with about 3 out of 5.
Oh, okay. I'll go to 12 feet away from him. I did paradox checks on people. He's 3/5 bad. I think I was 1/7. He's 1/10.
And then 0, pretty much.
I didn't
Okay.
check you or the professor.
I'm pretty much good then. I get mine from the kitty cat.
All right. Otherwise, it does look as though Althea says maybe around the 15th century or more, just geological activity, maybe some shifting. This might be near a tectonic plate, or she's not sure physically.
Yeah.
It's actually probably not near a tectonic plate. She doesn't know why it's cracked here. But she said the rune is no longer valid. It's not connecting, so.
Okay.
However, she says it does look like there's a similar ward, but this one kind of is more broad and all-encompassing. It is a type of spiritual, and I suppose she would say a type of ward to ward away evil. But the other one behind us is purely a spiritual ward.
Okay.
Any
Keeping
problem
it in
with
or out?
crossing this one?
She says this one's busted. It's been busted for
Yeah.
500 years.
Okay,
It's
so
not good anymore.
In or out?
Keep going.
Anyone want
Now,
Word
does
of
it keep
Unseen?
it in or does it keep it out?
Keeps everything from
She
out.
says that the original one would have kept
Keep it in.
kept
Spirits
things in
in.
and kept certain things out. The other one is purely pointed inward and would keep something in. She says that one's still operational.
Does she want Word of Unseen?
No Jeffries?
I think they had a date night.
She wouldn't mind.
Baby number 2 Jeffries.
Maybe you had them snipped off. I don't know. I think
It's in a jar on top shelf near the caterpillar.
She pulls it out every once in a while.
Look, Jeffries. Keep going.
Oh, she's trying to set up a ward of the unseen.
I'll put one on put on too.
Okay.
These are interesting ones. So I can learn these at any time?
You have to spend some dream time with Scarlet. And there has been some complications with that as of late.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Freddy Krueger! I'm getting better.
I got a 14 for myself, 14 for
Yeah,
Alfie,
keep
and
telling
13
yourself
for Peter.
You made it by that much?
No.
Write that
that's-
down because I don't know your
I
effective
can
number
bring stuff
is.
back. Like
So-
Freddy Krueger.
It's dead on, and by 1.
Okay. So ultimately, you draw a rune on Althea's Montrose's arm, probably like some sort of oil paint and so on and so forth. Now, moving interior, it immediately comes up to a T-junction. And as I described before, the archways in here are close to about 15 feet high and probably about 8 feet wide. So, I mean, you do get a kind of a grand sense as you move through the corridors. There's kind of a faint texture to some of the walls around you. Nothing kind of overt that you can tell. However, you were aware of that later on when somebody had come, when you guys had scanned the walls heavily, that there was very tiny writing across virtually every surface, and it repeated in sections, as though it was kind of a certain records of basic formulas, mathematics, and certain principles over and over and over again in sections. And you come across certain areas that were no longer accessible, but you assume that they continued on.
I'll explain that if I have it. That it's really small. If you get down and look, you'll see mathematics problems here. It's very small, very tight. Some of this repeats, some of it doesn't.
Did you put your brain on record?
I arranged for this to be recorded, and I learned most of my advanced mathematics.
Does anything look like it's not here yet?
Everything looks like it was prior.
It looks like it was prior.
So where did you find this guy? Was he in a stasis tube or
ice? I didn't
mushroom,
find him.
laying in a bed? Hole, yeah.
I wasn't there with the finding of him. I found this place. I sent others back to it.
And then they found him.
And I believe they found him here. Because it's the only Yith site that I ever heard of. And what I heard was, it was found in a Yith site.
Does it continue?
It continues on far off and to the left and to the right. The cats do seem to be, Puddin for the most part you can tell is getting uneasy. Scarlet definitely is uneasy. They don't like being here from what they can tell.
Are they getting
Beyond
uneasy
that,
because they're cut off or because of what's here?
Probably both.
Otherwise, it continues off to the left and the right. You guys have very strong lights, and it goes on for some distance. It looks as though all of these kind of spiral downwards at some point, probably close to about a 20-degree angle.
Wait,
How far does it go? I mean,
Oh yeah, they're using flashlights. So you guys,
I'll just use Foxfire.
okay?
It's bright enough that I could actually light up this whole area that we don't have to use.
Please
batteries.
don't. We've already got burned by it once today. That's funny.
You probably did.
does it go and spiral
No,
downwards,
like,
or they go and they
teleported
connect
us
up to
with
another room, or
Way to go.
There's an odd alien architecture to it. They do
You can't be the
interconnect,
only one who's
but they
making
head down
sounds
in different
with
regions.
Foxfire.
You know that
Yeah.
some of the areas that you had first checked out
Neither
were
am I.
off to the left. Just because
in the
those were
middle.
rooms where people had like written things on tables.
Not good.
did I ever go through the entire thing?
I read it in a book.
You've never fully gone through the entire thing. You knew that there was areas down here that were what the hell is there was rubble in. It didn't look like there's certain regions where it looks like there's
I researched it.
what the hell have you?
I could have just showed you it.
As though the
we
building
were
is
doing
built
things.
into kind of hewn stone areas, and the
big deal.
building stops, and there's hewn stone areas, and so on and so forth. So it doesn't look like the building's damaged. It just looked like it used part of the geography or the underground tunnels as part of their service tunnels.
Huh?
Trying to read my names.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'll explain that to the group and tell them that we
Hopefully I
went
can
this way. There were
find someone to
portions I
help you
couldn't get
teleport
to. They
easier.
interconnect, but
That's
they also they go their own way. I have never been fully through the right-hand side because there was debris at that time.
Alright,
which
then
may or may
left-hand
not
side
be
it
here
is. That's what I'm hearing.
As you guys continue on for probably another 5 minutes, every once in a while the cats seem to kind of just hiss behind you. Looking around, showing a flashlight, there's nothing behind you that you can tell.
Spirit.
Can I
Spirits.
put,
That's never stopped going.
Oh, nice.
I close
can I
one eye
put
and glance
Puddin
backwards.
on my back then?
You would notice that whatever the hell the walls are made out of, they're not showing anything. However, you can give me an observation roll.
Can I put
And
in
then
on my
your eye
back?
explodes because you're filled with dark fluid.
I put one on put in.
By 5?
I put one of those spiritual orbs.
Yep. That's what he told me.
By 5?
By 5? You're not sure. But you didn't see anything that he thought. All right. So as you guys continue on, probably another 15 minutes, you do come down to a large antechamber that seems to have what, at a distance, it initially looks like maybe like a bench, and there's tables in there. But as you start to get closer, the tables are close to about 8 feet tall. There does seem to be like what apparently might be like a side bench or something like that. But everything is spaced and gapped as though you're like your toddler running around a kitchen.
It's like it was made for a giant.
Yeah. Kind of gives you that feel.
Like you're so big that
I'll just
large
do-
opening
Reach up, do a
fits
pull
you
up,
like a
and see what's
doorway.
there. I just pull up. So reach up, do a pull up, look out like a top.
Until you should see more of this tiny scribbling or written
what it looks like
writing
up there?
on the top.
There's scribbling on the top as you kind of just push up there. Looking around, you kind of pull your flashlight up there with you as well. The vast majority, you had seen some writings that do seem to be indistinguishable kind of scribbles, but on the far side of the table, you can almost identify what looks like a big curly italic T.
Can I tell you this big curly italic T? What's that?
I do my cat's grace by 2.
Do I know what that is, or
You do know that there was English writing on one of these tables.
and what did it say?
It described how one individual had been pulled back through time, and he was spending time with the Yith as an observer because they took over his body in the future, and that he had spent a certain amount of time here in this world or their realm backwards in time, and that he was trying to set up certain things to occur in the future to help certain people that were trying to do something.
No, I don't know what this means at all, huh?
Yeah, red hair.
So
Red herring. It
that
is.
might be Lana. Might not be. It might. I don't know. It's.
Who's my character? You should know that.
The only thing is, you do know that this Chester Crispin, the individual who had the same handwriting that's carved into a couple million-year-old stone tablet here on the table, was sending you packages to locations like near the turned-over tree in the corner, 5 people sitting in the middle of an open field, and this is during the apocalypse. And strangely enough, there was a man that was delivering fucking mail still, so...
Speedy delivery.
So
We
I
passed
tell you,
him on the road
so I say I
here.
think it was
Delivered
Chester
mail.
Crispin. I think he's someone like I said because he was sending packages that were, future dated for strange places during an apocalypse,
I get
and
off
they
the
were all
table
relevant.
so we can keep walking.
Let's find your thing. We
I did
only
auto
got a
hypnosis
day and a
also
half,
by
so
7.
we have to be at our
Okay,
next
so you get a
thing.
+3.
Well,
And
a
cat's
day
grace
and
by 2.
Okay. They'll give you a +1 on your
Next dex check.
next dex check. Good.
All right, we keep moving.
All right. This continues on forward. It seems as though it continues to spiral down. From what you checked here, you can give me a what the hell is that? I don't say a nav land. A photographic memory. Ultimately, there's a few antechambers from here. Moving farther on down.
Are the cats still hissing every now and then?
Yeah, they calm down, but definitely both of them feel as though
They're being followed.
they're being followed by something, and they suppose they're very concerned about it, but they're not sure quite what to do about it other than not being here.
Good. I'll draw my knife at this time just to.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
You guys spend probably about an hour or two continuing
Your
down.
monocle pick it up.
Okay. I'll check with my monocle behind us.
Behind you, you can give me an observation roll.
See.
How does
Right.
the
4.
By 4.
primal flares ever help your monocle?
I don't know. I've never tried.
For the most part, whatever the hell the walls are made out of, they don't conduct or release primal energy. So you're just looking at black on black. Other than you can see 3 people in the middle of a room, or those are the group in the middle of a room.
Okay.
All right. It takes some time. All these rooms, for the most part, seem ultimately empty, but you know that a lot of areas have written wording along the walls. You get a feel as though the entire areas are completely empty but they used to be like large workspaces or even habitat areas. Yep.
The next time the cats hiss behind us, I'm going to kind of pivot quickly and throw a primal flare down the hall.
Okay.
Just kind of watching the cats a little bit.
Okay. During that time period, probably about another 30 minutes, as I said, into the hour, you can give me a primal flare.
I'll run the Tremere knife against the walls of the...
10, 12.
Okay.
So success by 4 on the primal flare.
It seems to spark, but it doesn't look like it leaves any kind of impression on it.
Success by 4 on the primal flare.
Okay. You give me everyone can give me an observation then.
Not so much to do it.
By 7?
4.
By 6.
Wait, visual or?
Yeah.
This would be a visual perception.
5.
10? 7, you said?
Yeah.
5,
6.
6,
4.
4. I'd say 7 and 10. The primal flare, it looks like it gets around the corner and it hits the wall and disappears. However, for you two, something interacts with it before and creates what seems to be kind of a strange negative shadow, and then immediately moves down the corridor. But there wasn't any definitive shape. It was like
Towards us or away?
away from you.
Okay.
However, there was no definitive shape. It looked like it hit like a wall of something.
I described what we saw. Does that ring any bells for anybody?
Like right now.
Cult mythos,
Can I roll for that?
spirit
or-
knowledge.
You give me mythos, I suppose.
By 5.
Also by 5.
By 6.
You're not quite sure. I mean, that's limited information. Maybe there's something back there. It's hard to tell. You'd have to go back and check it out.
See, the problem is I didn't do any research on Yith, and the little that is known about them is very, very little.
Oh, they also said at the Chantry
I
they
don't
have
think it's a
very
Yith, I think it's an
outdated
automated defense
information on
system.
the Yith.
Yeah. Their information on the Yith is less up to date than that on dragons.
Yay, dragons. There's dragons, guys.
They the Yith for the most part have very little they have very little time period in common with humans, even during the Cataclysm. That was when essentially they disappeared prior to the Cataclysm, and they haven't ever reappeared. So they've only come across structures like this. I mean, there are like details every once in a while that somebody's seen something like it or depictions, but there's no verified claims of anything. They are the Order Hermes Bigfoot.
Gotcha.
I mean, they've seen Bigfoots before, but not like fucking Yith. They've never seen Yith.
I very much doubt that it's a Yith following us. It's an automated defense system.
Let's keep going.
Or Guardian or something.
Otherwise, as you continue on, as I said,
Very
for about
possible.
2 hours or
There
so,
It screams hypertext, so...
it probably is about another hour and 30 minutes prior to the cats saying anything, but you guys continue to move on. There does seem to be one section that seems to be kind of crumbled down. As I said before, the building kind of interconnects to naturally open caverns, and the caverns obviously are showing wear and tear, but the structure is still intact. So this facility doesn't look like it's been used for a very long time period. Otherwise, it would require some either as escape, or you have to start to clear debris in this next chamber. There might be another way around if you headed off to the right.
I put on my gloves of matter manipulation and try to disintegrate it.
Okay, you give me a roll on that.
I will continue to watch the cats, and whenever they hiss, I throw a primal.
You need to give me another one. It just happened a few moments ago.
By 4.
Do we want to start firing blindly at this negative shadow thing if we see it?
So
Just want to
4.
4. Everyone can give me an observation.
I mean, matter manipulation.
Wow, that would be
So
Observation by 8.
visual.
Yep.
7?
5.
That would be 15.
yes,
7. Well, anyone
15.
making it over by anyone making it over 6, you're pretty confident that you saw what appeared to be a little girl, kind of strawberry blonde hair down to her shoulders, kind of like simple kind of clothing tabards, what have you, and she ducked behind the corner. With a 15, there was a fraction of a second where you would say that it didn't seem like she had any eyes, but then they kind of just appeared there, and then she ran off.
Do we get a chance to
Mythos?
react, or does she disappear
Figure out
before
what was
we
happening.
can do anything?
This is the observation. I would say that she just turns the corner by the time you guys can.
Okay.
You guys can give me initiative rolls, I
I
suppose.
will explain. Her eyes weren't there. And they were there.
It's half by what?
What kind of a spell do you need
double
to
your
talk to
base speed
spirits?
by
Talk
2.
to dead?
Base speed,
base
double it,
times 2, yeah.
and then
Twice.
roll
You talk
3d6.
to
So your base
spirits
speed's
without
what,
having
8?
a spell
Yeah.
to
So
talk to them?
Roll
Maybe.
16 or under.
You know
Tell me how much
part
money
that
under.
was wrong.
By 2.
2,
3.
3,
By 2.
2.
On those.
On the nose. For the most part, she ducks behind the corner by the time that you guys are ready.
I made by 8.
All right, I understand it looked like a girl, but if anybody gets a shot, take it. That
I'm
was
gonna try to
not
get rid
The
of
cats
debris.
seem to be generally disconcerted.
whatever the hell that thing is. We want to kill it.
Oh, no, the cats don't
If you
care.
have combat reflexes, your sides get +1 to initiative.
No, that's not what you
rolls.
said.
The cats seem to generally hiss
Oh.
and are disconcerted about whatever the hell keeps
Okay.
following you. That's what they've been doing for the last 2.5 hours.
They don't like it.
They don't like it, and they haven't liked being here, but they definitely seem to get their hair will stand on end
So-
when
And
something
then
is
you
coming
tell us
down
no
there.
eyes, right?
Yeah.
Was that like
eyes
the Nefandi
appear.
that had no eyes?
No, the Nefandi look exactly human because at one point in time they were.
Right.
It's just their soul is effed up.
Right, but then his eyes, weren't they? I'm trying to remember the picture you showed. us.
Taomi's eyes were
Just
tweaked,
like,
but you don't think that's
Do you
not a
want a
signature
mythos roll?
of a
Okay.
Nefandi.
gotcha. Okay.
Do you want a mythos
A
roll?
Nefandi can look completely and utterly normal. However, some Nefandi look horrible.
Right.
It just depends on the individual Nefandi. The only way to tell is
When
the,
they rip reality
their
apart.
pattern looks messed up, or if you checked with a primal flare, they would show up as black, like nothing is there.
We're surrounded by Nefandi.
Do
It's
you
a
want a
mythos.
mythos?
Mythos to figure
Give
out.
me mythos.
Professor, you're in the
What
wheelhouse.
about occultism? Does it give me less?
Good question.
If I roll an occult, will that give me less?
It depends on the type of information.
Pass by 3.
Pass by 3.
Should I roll mythos or occult?
Whatever you want to roll.
You're going to get different answers.
Try mythos.
Why don't you roll occult since
I'll
we're
do
all doing
occult.
mythos?
My 5. Occult.
You would say the image of a young, innocent girl is ominous, especially just kind of randomly in an area like this. Obviously, I mean, it's been sealed here, so
She doesn't.
you think there's a low likelihood that she's just a local girl from the park
Well, especially
that found her way
Bruce
down
was
here.
Involved in that.
If you haven't got it, there's a lot of signs that indicate that something bad is in here, or at least it was something that somebody didn't want to deal with. And obviously they didn't deal with it, they sealed it in, so...
They have-
Mythoses?
By 3.
3.
Did they use human sacrifice to seal it in, and then like something took over the girl. And...
You don't think so. Given how the ward was constructed, it looks like the ward itself was keeping it
But
in.
the cats don't like it. So...
The cats don't like it. With your mythoses, it's hard to tell, but I mean, if it is some sort of spirit or like primordial essence, it could look like anything, really. The only odd things is it does appear to be following you, and it took on your form, or at least if it's not a little girl.
Have we ever encountered anything else that would take our form?
There was one creature inside the low umbra, and he seemed to have an eye for Frock. However, his face was upside down.
But he may not have been hiding it.
So it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell without interacting with it directly.
I've seen the Full Metal Alchemist stuff too. The guy with his face upside down. Oh, you haven't seen?
All right, I beat the manipulation of the rock by 4.
Ultimately, what is you guys can give me an architecture roll?
Professor?
Oh,
Ooh,
that hurt.
critical success.
So I made it by 11.
You can clear out the area adequate enough for people that you kind of break it down and kind of dust, which you can kind of push aside and kind of step through. This cavern wasn't good to begin with, and you imagine that if something hit the wall with sufficient force, this whole thing might collapse, in this region at least.
I'll share this information.
So, well, maybe not like a 9mm round, but something,
Like a primordial, or
Like
like
a
a primal
rocket.
blast.
Rocket
a primal blast might take this whole thing down. This room.
Gotcha. Primal blast
Can
again
I
right here.
prepare
So you're
like, a
saying just
gravity
don't
well
miss.
above us to hold anything up? Not cast it, but be
Well,
ready to?
several sets of portion to the rocks.
Yeah. I'm going to do another auto-hypnosis after that, since an hour's passed.
Otherwise, passing past into this section, you guys spend probably about another hour or two kind of searching these antechambers. And they're kind of, like I said, you've probably come across 20, 25 so far. Every one so far has been fairly empty.
What I'd like you to do
By 8.
is just touch
Okay,
the
you
walls
get
and try to
plus,
push
3.
your hand through. Using the same mental discipline that you did when take it through the first barrier.
All right. That's a good point.
Can the cats detect secret doors?
You're not sure.
Elves?
You gonna do it?
Yeah. Come on.
All right.
Ian,
Otherwise-
I'll make it a point to touch the walls as I go by, trying to see if any of it.
Yep. I was assuming that. It was that you stated that just now. Or when Dusty said it to you, you said okay, so I assume so. But yeah, it's always good to tell me. Another 30 minutes pass, and for the most part, you're kind of seeing the same rooms, and they kind of spiral down. You're not sure quite how far you are down, maybe about 100 feet or so.
Did I not get in this section before?
You didn't get down this far.
Okay.
You guys were trying to take a full inventory of everything initially around you, and you knew that there was some regions that were kind of collapsed in. And I think you had access to this region. You guys kind of cleared it out a little bit. But what the hell have you? It was too hard to get too far deeper in without actually causing possibly a cave-in. However, he disintegrated the stonework around the region,
which was
dust.
much less disruptive than us chiseling through it and hacking through
Yep.
it. So.
However, apparently she still thinks that it's gonna. The professor thinks it might still collapse under the right conditions.
So I inform you, we never got past that barrier because we couldn't disintegrate it and therefore safely get by it. Yes, it's still unsound, but we
Could I
couldn't
reinforce it?
How do you intend on reinforcing it?
I don't know, take in some of the debris that's around me and try to shape an archway around it. That would.
Maybe. I mean, if you had architecture, it'd definitely help you. If anything, you could make like a column in there. But
Do you know if we walked past it yet?
yeah, you're probably about 20 minutes past it.
All right.
Otherwise, after about 30 minutes, one of the wall features you come across, you're going to have been holding your hand, touching along the wall. Your hand does pass into the wall. And it doesn't look like there would be a door here or anything else. You would have to know that something was here, but maybe the individuals here, from some of your indications of the Yith, they had near perfect recollection.
Explain this
So you go,
interesting feature.
ding.
Now, there is a little bit more pathways that head farther on down, and there is a corridor a little bit ahead of you, which looks like it might interconnect with the corridor heading right, but there's also a T-junction heading interior.
I'll make sure everybody knows, and I'll stick my head in this one.
Otherwise, as you move down, it feels as though you're moving on the outskirts of like a large column heading downward.
If I go through this doorway?
No, as you're heading down kind of these archways, there's like pocket rooms here, pocket room, pocket room, pocket room, pocket room, pocket
Going
room,
down kind of a
pocket
big
room.
cylinder?
Yep, it looks like you're going on the outskirts of a large cylinder. And there's one archway heading interior, and then there's another one which may connect to an archway heading upwards.
And this passageway just occurs kind of somewhere
In one of the rooms.
in one of the rooms?
I mean, you've already passed probably 40 rooms like this, and you hadn't been checking then, but now you hit one.
I'll let everybody know I found another wall, and I'll step through it.
Should have been doing it sooner, huh?
As I said, it seems as though you're probably about 120 feet down now. You've come across about 40 rooms. You've only checked like the last 5 that you've come across, and what have you. It seems as though you're heading down in a spiral and kind of a column formation. There's one that heads interior to the column, another one that looks like it might connect up with that right channel. Otherwise, there's the passage which you believe that you could enter here, but you can't see the other side from here.
I'll pop my head in.
You can give me a will roll.
Okay.
This would be awesome when I see his body just go.
Or just headbutt.
17. 20. By 12.
All right, you can head in.
Okay. Look around.
This seems to be a large antechamber. It looks like there's a few small antechambers coming out from here. I say 3, and you can kind of see into them. There's odd pedestals, 3 in each one of the 3 antechambers.
I'll light it with foxfire.
5.
Okay. There's pretty good light in the room. It seems like there's a faint glow coming from the first antechamber. There seem to be 2 strange cylinders sitting on 2 of the pedestals.
Okay.
When he doesn't come back out, I'll try to go through the wall.
Okay.
Really? This
I
should be a
assume-
bad sign.
I assume I'm there, so I was going to go through here, or first.
Okay, you can give me a
Look, guys.
little roll.
Illumination.
Straight up.
For everyone.
There's a little bit of heat as you kind of come into the room. You're like, there we go, fairy fire.
Okay.
Okay, I'll be able to.
Jewel.
Scarlet went with me, correct?
What?
Yeah, she did.
It is first.
Ladies first. I think this room's dangerous. You should go first.
I rolled bad.
Uh-oh. Was that Cthulhu
that-
dice?
No, you got Cthulhu dice. I rolled all 6 of those.
You take a little bit of time.
Do I roll again?
No, you can get it. Then,
And that is why Althea goes first.
Sacrifice her.
You're
No,
you're so,
I know that she can make it.
You're so insecure of failing in front of her that you're willing to
Well, I
send her
gotta.
to-
so you guys are slowly
Well, no, 'cause
piling
you guys
in.
are
What are you
already-
doing
Waiting
from
in
there?
in the 2 cylinders.
Okay. Inside the 2 cylinders, what is it? Heading into the room, heading up, looking around. Inside the 2 cylinders, there appears to be apparently some sort of black mass.
Now, when you say, so you're talking, you said there was 3 alcoves with 3
There's 3
chairs
alcoves.
each.
In the first alcove, as you move in, there are 3 pedestals. There seems to be a
It's never been a
groove.
good black mass.
Never.
There's a groove on the interior of the pedestals, but you only know that because the 3rd pedestal in this particular alcove there's nothing in it. However, it seems as though there's a fine blue sheen that seems to be stuck in the grooves of these chambers, or there's the pedestal, and it goes into the ceiling and into the floor like that. And then 2 of them seem to have strange kind of, you would say black masses, but occasionally you see through it. So you're not sure if it's like a liquid or a gas in there, or what specifically. I'll actually get back to you. What are the rest of you doing?
I'm paying attention to the cats because I'm thinking that thing's going to follow us through and I want to find it.
Well, you just walked in.
You can give me an observation roll.
So basically, if they hiss, then I saw primal fire. But it's just an observation roll.
Is there anything written on the pedestal?
At a glance, no, but you've been told that there's apparently tiny writing everywhere.
Success by 5.
By 5. You would notice that everyone's moved through and they've kind of moved up. Branton has not moved through yet.
Barton?
Barton.
Barton's not here, guys.
Passed the will by 3.
Yep, I'm aware of that.
It's a problem. Something's got him.
Alright, you guys can discuss. I need to talk to you real quick.
I'm moving back away from the wall. Something's got him.
Or he's just stuck.
Nobody just gets stuck. In a place like this, you get got.
Barton gets stuck.
Oh, that's not good.
No. This is the place where you get got. You don't get stuck.
Yeah, you got something hiding behind you. You got. Almost keep a preferential rear guard.
You figure out
with
what it
at least
needs,
one
you
of the cats.
We don't know what material we're moving through. It could take us
No, this is the first time I actually got
we
to
could be
see a
on
list.
Jupiter.
10
He
minutes
said,
moving through the
I would
state.
have
Yeah,
to go
and we
and,
could end up
we
in,
don't know.
we could be in Jupiter
you know,
too.
go
So
to
it's
the
like
dreamland.
take another
and
pathway
see what
home, and
these
we're on
do and stuff.
Pluto, and then we're back.
There's
in
some cool ones
New
on there. I
York.
want to see it.
But I need whiskers or a mustache for
From what?
them.
So same here. Scent shallows and scent heat. That's it for me. That's all I need. Those are the only 2 ingredients I need for any of this.
So who's the one that traveled back through time? Is it Thomas?
Yeah. The whole thing he was talking about was Thomas. He was sent back as an observer.
Why did he look so calm?
No. When Chris, you were there when we played the White Lily game
Yeah.
at Steve's barn, remember that?
Yeah.
And so his character, conscious, went in a new body, but then the character I was playing was actually a Yith. I got the note saying I was playing the Yith
Yeah.
character. So it was my character's conscious that was in this place here, waiting for the bodies to show up. But then he also said that there was that other explorer who also had the same thing happen to him. So they
Thomas.
that Chris Crispinson or whatever,
Oh, Chester.
Chester Crispinson or
Crispin.
Crispin, yeah.
No, but it sounded like it was talking about Thomas because the bodies.
Well, he was back there. The youth was in him. Trying to make things occur.
Bad stuff happening.
I don't want to lose another person. I still need to get Frank back.
You know.
I think we can.
I can.
No.
We just
As
have
much
to
as
get
I
things
would
settled.
like not deal with it, but it has to come. Frog has to die in front of my eyes for me to deal
If
with
there
it.
was a way to get back, Hunter will help set.
I want to do Guardian of the Mind.
If
That one
nothing
seems so-
other than just to be able to hold that over.
or Mind Barrier.
He's got a lot of stuff that keeps on coming up. Like all this shit that he learned from Gabriel Bruce. He knows like
Yep.
dimensional conduit and all this like creepy dead stuff that he learned from Bruce.
I wonder if Spirits of Delight would be similar to that. That's another one too.
I don't know what it does.
I don't know. Spirit Force, Spirits of Delight, Calling of the Totems, the Code of Trimetheus, Guardian of the Mind, and Mind Barrier, and Calling the Totems. Yeah. And Dance of the Vermin. All
I'm gonna go to
seems-
the bathroom real quick.
Yep.
So I made it into the room.
So as you guys are talking, he seems a bit panicked, and he runs into the room, kind of looking behind him.
Hold up.
Saw something.
What'd you see?
I don't know, but it wouldn't let me through the wall, so then I got through.
Put up my monocle on him.
You can give me a.
Don't do anything.
What is it,
fast
a
or
monocle?
sudden.
Yep.
I give him the one eye.
Why? You gonna drain my life force again?
Only if it
I can talk to you real
means
quick.
Which one?
means to save the group.
What's your monocle do again?
You seem to like killing off group members. A
You
lot.
don't actually know if
I
it's
haven't killed
magic.
any
It doesn't seem to.
That's hypertech, actually. And it is because it's pretty much just like I detect life. I think I look at the pattern when I do that, don't I?
When does McDonald's
Because I did it at the ball, and I noted people who were off, and I went and got somebody else with us, and they said that those people had things like cancer
I
and
don't
stuff
think
like
it
that. That's what I was seeing as
until-
odd in
Well, it was a
Later
life
than
and
that.
there's a pattern, but maybe it wasn't.
I know the one at our house is
there.
24.
Maybe it was the
I've
life.
seen people in here with McDonald's food, right? Is
Uh,
that one of
no,
the... No?
they shouldn't be.
They should
Only if you're the employees can you come in with food.
maybe
Saw a few of the Magic players had...
they're
fast
breaking the
food.
rules. They haven't been called out. So it's only the Chinese restaurant that he lets in, other than the stuff he sells off the counter, which is Pop Tarts and stuff people do. Bet he didn't throw a toaster in.
The old place had the microwave.
Yeah. So my wife and I, we got woken up at 2:30 last night. It was a nice night, so I had the windows open. And we hear in our house behind it, there's a park, and we hear the police bullhorn. Come out of the park! We're releasing the dog. If you do not come out of the park, you will be bitten. Then we glance out, and you can see the light, on the trees, leaves. You can see the kind of
Floodlights?
the cherries or whatever going, kind of the lights flashing up on the leaves.
We had two juvies try to jump
Hidden lore?
our fences because they
I'll give
stole
you
a
hidden
car, and one walked down further, but his friend tried to jump our fence and he got stuck between the
Luck it.
fences. Until they got, they said, "Stay in your home." And I'm like, "He's
Straight
right
up?
there." And he's like, "All right," and they got his ass.
Best I could do is straight up.
Then his friend was just the block down, so they got him because it's the only kid walking it. Like,
2 in the morning or whatever.
yeah.
That's good. My wife called the police this morning. They didn't apprehend anybody. He got away from it, so it's unfortunate. Dog didn't get lunch that night.
They should release the dog.
Put on your ghillie suit.
It sounded like they released the dog. I mean, they said, we're releasing the dog.
Yeah, the guy just was like, okay, let me take the steak out of the back of my belt.
Well, he might not have been there. It's a fairly large park, so maybe he was already long gone.
Those dogs are scary as hell, too.
Oh, yeah, shit. I wouldn't be wanting a police dog turned loose on me. I'd be like, please, do whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, we're not criminals, so
It's like, no, just shoot me.
I don't know that I would be shot again. I think that actually probably be worse than the dog bite.
Because the dog's more of like a constant pain, where it's just like, okay, you shot me, it's over.
But no, I think it continues to hurt.
Well, so does, rabies, or, well, I guess they
You're not going to have rabies in the dog.
So does bacteria from the mouth.
sure Burton.
Yep.
Martin.
Why would this be now?
What are you saying, Jeb? Is it clean?
You can give me an observation roll, because technically observation is used in this manner as well.
I hate it when DMs throw technicalities on you. This means they're trying to screw you.
By 5.
By 5. You guys can give me an observation as well.
Two.
For 10?
By 10.
6.
6. You're fairly... What is it? It seems as though Jeb, I suppose, is a bit disturbed, but he's trying to keep his cool and kind of act. You feel as though Jeb is, like, seriously considering some crazy things in his head, but he's just kind of like, yeah, it's pretty good, guys.
And I pushed the nuke button.
Did he
No.
do the signature like eyes back and forth?
No, he's fairly calm about it.
He's him. He's just, I know he's going, I should 14 G's is
You
what
see
we
that,
need.
I mean, he's like, it's kind of... Mind you, to everyone else, he looks very calm, cool, relaxed. Observation allows you to not
That'd be
inadvertently...
psychology, though, that would determine the rest of it, though.
But why would we just do
That's purely from
psychology?
observation. It looks as though...
Everything's good on the outside. Everything's good here, just some weapon malfunction. That's all that is.
That's what he says, like some weapon malfunction. He, despite how Chris says it, it sounds genuinely sincere, and he's like, yeah, weapon malfunction.
Barton, you need to just stay right there.
Why? I don't have dark fluid in me.
Why you won't talk about it?
This isn't about dark fluid.
There's some dark fluid over
You
there.
need
There's
to
pedestals.
calm yourself.
I
You've
walked
got
over to
some
the pedestals
rash
with you.
ideas going on. You need to calm yourself.
No, he doesn't look like he looks just fine, other than he's looking...
He's the
He
crazy one.
Do we need to step over
has...
there?
Oh, he's the one who looks...
He puts on the monocle, and it looks as though he's calm on the outside, but on the inside there's thoughts going on.
Hey, Barton, step over there.
Where?
Yeah, no, really. Get up and go over there by
Alright.
the glass case.
Just mine.
It looks creepy.
Just
Why
so?
do you want me to go there?
So that I've
No,
got
no,
firm
I
grip on
went.
it.
My bad. Trevor, get up and walk to the glass case.
At this point in time, you guys can give me a fright check.
Really? Totally different?
Something different, actually.
I'm fully prepared to shoot Burton.
6, 11, 10.
Well, depending on what happens here, you might actually change your mind.
He turned into an angel.
Oops, I don't lose this. But
It goes into combat reflex.
Convenient
him.
excuse
It's
as
him,
you
isn't
roll
it?
your
He reacts
16.
to the ooze in
I'm
the
keeping
thing.
it.
Okay.
By 9.
By
it's
9.
actually a 17.
By 9?
8.
I would have had more if I would have re-upped my auto hypnosis.
So failure by 2.
Failed by 2.
8.
You're a bit stunned. You lose a point of fatigue. Behind you, one of the what is it? The chambers. What the hell is it? It seems to have a kind of a light blue sheen to it behind you.
Fails.
It doesn't fail. It looks like there's a face that forms in it and kind of smashes against the wall.
Is it Barton's finger?
No, it's not Barton's face. It smashes against the sheen and it kind of flickers in and out, kind of like a. You hear kind of like a staticky, and it just
zapper.
stares at you and then forms back into like a mass.
Where did it go?
That's bad shit.
It's still in where the hell that tube is.
Okay.
I'm stunned.
However, you turn around and like, holy shit!
Yeah. Old Hunter went to bed, but new and drained Hunter is.
The old hunter would have shot the cylinder.
Okay.
I'm still down low from our last run-in with bad shit.
I get everybody over here looking at the pedestals, and I go, yeah. That crazy thing that happened on the blue sheen, that's fine. Yeah. It's great, Hunter. I'm glad you're
Barton
speechless.
seems to be a little bit disturbed of, what the hell is it, Jeb's character, and he's kind of backed up and away from him.
No.
Yeah, you can come back.
No. You can't
No.
come back.
He's here.
Jeb asked him to go to the other side of the room. So
What the hell is it? Jeb is kind of yelling weird accusations at you, or kind of like, no, it's not fine. It's you're doing stuff, and go just
no,
stand
no.
over
I
there
said-
with your head down the corner.
I
Hey,
didn't
check
mean
out that
Barton.
dime.
I didn't mean Barton. I was going to say Trevor, so we didn't all have to get up and talk over there.
See, you said Barton.
Yeah,
So
my bad.
ultimately, you're a little bit freaked out. You kind of back away from him, give him a good amount of room.
Just want to make sure that you didn't see what was going on in that blue light right
Ultimately, as I said before, one of this chambers, one of these kind of blue cylinders off in the corner seemed to have kind of a weird black ethereal mass in it. And when they were talking to you, it seemed to form a large head and screamed and smashed across whatever the hell's in front of it. However, you got a definitive feeling that whatever the hell's holding it in place is not really there. And then it just seems to form back into this weird black smoke. The other chamber looks like that as well, but hasn't reacted.
So Trevor's on the other side of the room.
How did Althea react to that?
He walked in, and then you guys
Alright.
started to talk to him. He's backed away.
All right.
How did Althea
Did you see
react
that?
to this?
Althea's not sure what the hell that is, or what's inside of it. She can take a look at the runes here, but...
Sorry.
Was I looking at the face?
Huh?
Was I looking at the face? Can I say
We're
I
all
saw it?
looking at the face.
You saw the face.
Give this that.
I saw the creepy face.
Just back to car.
Did you see the face?
I saw the creepy face.
Yeah, taking out a piece of paper and writing it to somebody. And
Yeah, I'm writing it to you.
okay.
Just for the sake of argument, because there's been some PvP action here. I'm gonna have my gravity berry ready to go.
Gotcha. He gets his hands out, backs up a little bit further, getting himself some space.
I'm mainly gonna look at him, but he's in
We
my
did
eyes,
talk
so-
about erasing you from the timeline just not too long ago,
Not
so
just you, like
not
three
unusual.
other players too.
Well, if you guys would have just sucked it up and taken your belts.
backed up into
Oh, I
the
thought he was
corridor.
closer.
He was walking into the room, and that's when people started to ask him, like, "Hey, what are you doing, buddy?" Like, and then everyone kind of got weird on him, and he started to back away.
Not everyone, just like
Well.
key players.
Key players.
The professor's over there giving him hugs. And we can still
No.
be friends.
Barton, I need you to come here. Is it already done?
What time is it?
10?
Oh shit! Yeah, I suppose I need to do that. Ultimately,
Good spot to
however,
stop.
what is it? It seems as though he's still acting a bit weird and kind of in the main room. And at this point, what the hell is it? Barton, you guys can... We'll handle it next scene. However, Barton seems to fall very rapidly forward backwards, as though some sort of weird gravity ripple or something kind of just lifts him up, and he passes through the wall that he backed up towards.
What? I didn't cast it.
Alright. Excuse Bart being Bart.
No. Martin is probably Martin. That's why it's so behind him.
Can you send me some of these definitions?
Yep. Alright, I'll give out 2 experience points, though. And we'll stop. 2? We're getting into things.
Anything that
Researching.
low
I need 2
forever.
more.
Alright. Okay, well in there.